afternoon, and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. To listen live via the streaming, that's where you'd go. You can always email us if you like, JCS at 979.espnradio.com. You can also listen in, not watch, but listen in on YouTube. And we'll post all 3 hours of the program, both to iTunes, and put it in our audio vault as well. How are you? Doing all right, I hope? I had a weird dream that I flew to San Francisco in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic here. For some reason, and it was so real. When I woke up this morning, I was agitated, concerned, very, very worried that I had been exposed. Unreasonably so. Like that, when you first wake up and think something absolutely happened.
Oh, yeah. The going back to school and all of your credits are undone dream.
Oh,
yeah.
that one.
Buddy.
Or that you're late for the final exam. I had that one for a long, long time after college. I was sprinting. I just couldn't get there, and I was going to fail, and it was just, I didn't have a valid excuse.
Yeah.
I overslept.
I have the one that one course in high school it didn't have his I's dotted and T's crossed.
And so you didn't get credit for it.
I have to redo all of it. I have to do a whole new semester at this current age, and I have to go back. Yeah.
All right, so quickly here, my dream was I was in San Francisco. It appears to me in retrospect that we were going there because the Knowles were going to be playing somebody in San Francisco. Even though the coronavirus was in full swing, I end up in a really seedy area near the Mission District in San Francisco, where I've been. So maybe that's why I thought of it. But anyhow, I have a friend that lives in San Francisco, and I was trying to call her to get directions how I could get out from this said seedy area. But there's a cut through, and it's a dangerous alley, and I can tell, and it's almost like Goodfellas, where I'm looking down in the alley, and Karen doesn't know. He's telling her where the fur coats are. I can look down the alley, and I'm seeing, like, if I can get through here, there's safety on the other side.
After you're done with the story, I want to ask your opinion on if there was somebody there.
Yeah, so I'm looking. There's some people I can see in the alley, but I don't know if they mean me harm. They may just be sleeping it off. But I can see the other side looks like fun because there's a bunch of restaurants and bars. I'm like, gosh, it's just between me and that fun. But I don't know where I'm going, and I could get hurt. This is awful. Anyhow, I get to a bar, and I go in and order a beer because I'm waiting on instruction to meet everybody. And my wife is going to be flying in, and it's crazy. And then this people start sitting next to me, and I'm very concerned about it because I think they've got the coronavirus, and they're just on top of me, talking boisterously, wanting to know my opinion of this game. And I'm like, trying not to make it obvious that I don't want them near me, but it's pretty clear. My body language is, all that. And it felt so real. I woke up panicked. I was like, why did I do that? Why did I go to San Francisco? Why did I go to that bar? That's so stupid. And then I kind of wiped the fog from my eyes, looked over at the clock. It was 6:27. Go. What are you doing? Get up and start the coffee, dumbass. And that's how my day began.
Wait till 25 years from now where it takes you 10 full minutes and you're going to be talking to Christy. Why did I go to San Francisco, babe?
You did? When did you go? Yeah, what are you talking about? Yeah, it was pretty scary. Oh, question that you had. Yeah, he was going to kill her.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
When his expression says it all after she runs away?
Yeah. I think he was I think there was somebody waiting on her. And she knew him enough to know he was ruthless. Remember, after the Lufthansa heist, he wastes everybody.
Well, he does, yes. Yeah.
I mean, friends or otherwise.
But specifically her without him present, I don't know about that. I don't know that he would go to that.
Well, that's why
length.
it's a great scene, because you're just not sure. You want to trust Jimmy, but Jimmy...
I don't trust Jimmy, but I don't think he'd do it without...
You don't think he'd kill...
without Ray being present. Ray Liotta's character.
You think he'd kill Karen in front of Ray Liotta's character?
I think he'd kill him at the same time, yeah.
Oh, he'd kill both of them, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know, man. He was desperate. I mean, he's worried she's going to talk. I don't know. I think he'd just waste. She'd have been dead. But there's also
like breaking the code, though.
Well, I think it was every man for himself at that point. They're all going down. He's got to kill as many witnesses as possible.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the cutthroat, and he was cutthroat. Anybody and everybody who acted a little funny. He killed, and then he killed people that he didn't have to kill.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though, in that movie, and I could be, because I think it's overrated, so I haven't watched it as many times as most people. But I don't think you see a wife get taken out separate her husband, right? Like if they're together in the montage scenes and such.
No, the husband got taken out. That bought the fur coat.
It might even be a gumad, that gets gets wiped away with a guy.
I think there are husbands that get killed without the wife. Yeah.
No, but not wives without the husband. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
like they don't just kill a wife, separate the husband.
I have to go back. You're probably right. I don't remember. Yeah.
It's an overrated movie anyway.
Well, you're so hell-bent on saying that you remove all the merits of the movie. Like, it goes from being thought of as one of the all-time greats, but not in your mind, to a piece of crap. Like, you don't even, it's not. It's a great movie.
It's an okay movie.
It's a really great movie. It's
Casino is better.
I disagree, but what I would tell you is this. They're both great. And I would also say that you have to remember that one of the reasons it's a great film might have less to do with the story, which I like, but maybe you don't like as much, and more to do with the direction. I mean, there are a couple single shots in that movie that are insane, that were, technically speaking, breathtaking.
Its brightest moments are amazing. Like the first 20, 30 minutes of that movie are unbelievably breathtaking.
But there's so many. When they go into the restaurant, through the kitchen, the whole thing, it's a single shot. It's unreal. No, there's
it just drags. But then again, that's kind of Scorsese's thing, right? I mean, I'll be the first to say Casino drags as well.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we get it. She's nuts. Do we have to have a seventh scene about she's nuts? let's see some resolution here.
Oh, man. All right, so let's do this. Florida State got a commitment. We talked about him yesterday. Now we got him. And if he's fully healthy, I'm very, very excited about this, because Florida State needs Deontay Williams to step in and be able to play. The hope is that we are able to remedy our situation at defensive end, which has been problematic for some time now. I know we've had a bright spot here and there, Brian Burns, but we really have not been able to sustain excellence and not have two rush-ins that really you could trust, or have rush-ins that provided duality, the ability to set the edge and or on third and obvious rush the passer. We've had guys that were kind of singular in their ability.
Well, Burns was a one-trick pony.
That's what I said.
Who was made for the NFL. That's the first, because of the speed. He's got the angle and the timing, and the NFL is just, I think it's so much more empirical, even with the way offenses are varied a little bit more than they used to be. It's, can you get here in this amount of time? If not, you're not for us.
Yeah.
But he can, so therefore they're going to train him and they're going to work with him. But what I'd say, though, is we weren't even adequate on third down. Like, you don't know what to do. If you blitz, you're not good enough scheme-wise and coaching-wise to get home on a blitz, so that's out. And then you don't have anybody at all who can get home, so you can't do the standard 3-man or 4-man rush thing.
Yeah.
You needed Marvin Wilson or Corey Durden to generate the pressure up the middle.
Which is never a good thing.
So you've lost before the down begins.
By the way, just because I guess I'm going to be petty, I mean, Brian Burns was okay last year. Let's not act like Brian. I mean, I got people. Now, I'm not saying you are, but I had people.
No, I'm in your camp on
this. The man had 7 sacks and 19 tackles.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not go crazy.
No, I'm squarely in your camp on this one.
People went on. I mean, every time he had a sack, somebody would send me a tweet. Look at how wrong you were. I'm like, he had 7 sacks. 19 tackles total. Thanks for the 19 tackles.
It's a good year. It's a good year.
It's a fine year.
Yeah.
It's not elite. Doesn't even pretend to be an elite.
But you get my point, which is either you can get here in this amount of time or you can't.
Yeah, no, I
and if you
completely
can,
get
then
your
they're going to train you up to do
And
so.
also, by the way, I'll do the caveat, which I always do. I hope he has 15 this year, or ends up being elite. That'd be great. Just not ready to concede it's going to happen. No. I don't see the evidence.
He had the Clemson game on the road.
Woo!
That was the one where James Blackman had the ball in his hand.
With a chance, yeah.
Yeah. That was his game.
He was incredible.
He had a game.
Speed.
Other than that, I mean, if you want to go with the black jersey game, I guess it was against
Well,
DC,
the thing was he amassed real numbers, though. You did see the numbers in that, and that was inarguable. I mean, he had a lot of sacks. He ended up making an impact. I never said he was useless. That's the other part, was that in Corey and I's tit-for-tat argument, it was never that I thought he was useless. I just, a little overrated. You could run right at him.
I agree. DeMarcus Walker, his predecessor, was far more comprehensively.
Yes, comprehensively. And that's what I'm getting at with these guys is I'd like something like that. Now, again, Kendo may end up being that too. But, God, it just feels weird to talk about the upcoming season. It's difficult.
If we just had Dan Hicks, even from that time when he was the fourth man in the rotation,
you're right.
with Jenkins and Werner and Tank Carradine and Dan Hicks. I mean, that guy transplanted to here. We'd love his ass.
Man, I loved me some Tank Carradine, didn't you? Man.
Oh, yeah. Cornelius himself.
Woo! What a nice player he was. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Together and even stronger.
Hello, I'm Brian Cerny, host of Tallahassee Talks Radio.
And I'm Coach Sue Semrau.
The food assistance charities in Tallahassee need our help, and the businesses sponsoring the Tallahassee Food Challenge want to remind each of us to take the challenge by making an additional contribution and donating food.
Join us in giving generously during this critical time of need. You'll be helping feed hungry children and families across our community. Take the challenge, fill a bowl.
Feed the hungry. Go to TallahasseeFoodChallenge.com.
Hi, I'm Jeff, founder of Which Witch Superior Sandwiches, and I'm here to tell you about our signature witch, the Wicked. Why call it the Wicked? Some say it's wicked tasty, some say it's wicked large. One thing's for sure, with oven-roasted turkey, ham, pepperoni, roast beef, and bacon, as well as your choice of 3 cheeses, it definitely takes you from wicked hungry to wicked happy in just a few wicked good bites. Only at Which Witch Superior Sandwiches.
On Wednesday, the Wicked is just $5. 5 meats, 3 cheeses, $5.
This hour of the Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Jerry's Cigar Shop, 2810 Shara Road and 2910 Cary Forest Parkway. Online at jerrycigarshop.com. Seminole headlines.
Kenny Chesney did go to East Tennessee State.
No kidding.
I'm all over it, buddy.
Studied advertising.
Look at me.
Was there in 1990. That's when he graduated.
Okay, obviously his life is good. Sitting on the porch or sitting on the beach, like when he's 70, I mean, is he going to look back and be proud of, like,
you talking about Kenny Chesney?
Yeah, his musical career. Like what the music, the art he brought to the world.
So you think he'll feel guilty for stealing Jimmy Buffett's thing?
I'm just asking,
and then
putting a twang to
mimicking it.
But my question, I'm not saying it's.
I don't think he'll feel that guilty.
Will there be a pride? I'm not saying guilty, but like, will he be filled with pride? Like,
not the way a real artist.
I think Van Morrison or they're like feeling good about what they contributed to
humanity.
Society.
Yes, I did something that elevated us as a species.
Like, I'm wondering
Kenny Chesney cannot say
that. But I'm wondering
that.
if he thinks he did, is what I'm asking.
I hope not. Like, if Jimmy Buffett knew he was garbage and just admitted
catchy tunes
and was like, I have a knack for writing these things.
I put the theme music to parties for
I that's what I do.
White people.
I'm not writing anything of any significance, but I did. Yeah. I created an element
songs.
that they're fun songs.
Fun time.
There's a place for that. There's nothing wrong with that.
As long as he accepts that and
correct.
He knows that.
As long as he doesn't think he's Bob Dylan, exactly. Then I'm fine.
And I feel like Jimmy Buffett does. I wonder.
I think he does
Chesney.
too.
Is he my tractor sexy guy?
I have no idea.
I think he's a
Pepsi commercial.
Don't act like you
They're
don't know.
all Pepsi commercials.
It was Kenny Chesney with She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy.
So do you think when he penned that he thought...
Did he even write it?
Probably not. But do you think that if he wrote it, he thought,
holy
this is right
moly.
up there?
He did not.
Blowing in the wind.
He did not write it.
He did not write it.
Yeah.
No. But he put his personal touch to it.
I'm sure. The one that he stole from Jimmy
Buffett. It's the 20th
Buffett.
anniversary of that tune, that fine ditty.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, you knew that, Jeff. We were just talking about it the other day at lunch.
I was like, can you believe it's been 20 years since the
my
masterpiece
sexy tractor?
She thinks
I
my
remember like it
tractor's
was
sexy.
yesterday.
Whatever it is.
She thinks my tractor's sexy. It
Once
really
a week, I
turns
go
me
into a
on.
dark
Or
room
it really
and I
turns her
sit
on.
back and listen to the lyrics of that classic.
Yeah.
She's always staring
That's like
at
the
me
blowing of the wind of the
Yeah.
90s.
when
Yeah.
I'm chugging along.
Yeah.
It's like The Weight.
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It's a little
lot
bit like
the
The
weight.
Weight. Yeah, it's a lot like that.
Tuesday night on 97.9 ESPN Radio. This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Yo, you better give me that money.
May remember a segment we did in regards to a passenger being offered a ride on a French Rafale passenger fighter jet thingy. I don't know anything about planes. It's obvious. But this is just like a jet, like the things you see that the military uses to blow things up. One of these badass jets.
It's more for flyovers than that at this point.
Right, but you know the ones I'm talking about. They look like they're Blue Angels. They all look like Blue Angels to me, every one of them. You could say it's an F-15 or an F-22 or I don't know. But this is the French version of those Blue Angel planes with the tiny, sleek cockpits, you know, and you just, they're badass. They're awesome to look at, and we went over to Pensacola and climbed on them and did all that. My kids loved it. It was awesome.
When you see them,
yeah.
you're intimidated.
Yes,
They're not
immediately.
on. You just look at them and you go, whoa.
Yeah, you're like, that's a plane of destruction right there.
That's like looking at battleship guns on the deck.
Oh,
You're like,
yeah.
"Whew."
You're like,
Jesus.
damage being done with those.
Yeah.
So the point is, we read this story a while back on the air about this gentleman who is 64 years old, who, and we find out now, and I'll get to it in a moment, had friends that arranged a flight, him to be a passenger, and these are two-seaters, so it's you and the pilot, on one of these planes, one of these jets. And it was a gift for him, like just a birthday type thing, where his friends thought it would be cool for him to be able to do this. And one of those friends was a French Air Force pilot. And so they arranged for this thing. So I'll cut to the chase if you didn't hear the original segment. This guy, they're up. They're flying, hauling ass, as jets do. And somehow he gets ejected from the plane. Now, we surmised at the time that either is one hell of a malfunction or somebody panicked, or the old man is one hell of an adventuresome fellow and decided to eject himself. Didn't tell the pilot he was going to do it, didn't tell anybody he was going to do it, but in his mind he thought, when I get up there, I'm pulling the lever, baby.
Yeah, the first time that you read this, my preferred version of the story, not what actually happened, is that there's a beeping noise. He's like, what is this beeping noise?
Don't touch that.
there he goes.
So it gets better. It gets better. And thanks to the world of Twitter and my loyal listeners, they remember these segments. And if there's a follow-up and we have a chance to, as I like to say, put a ribbon on a story, we go back to it. And I was given a link via Twitter.
It's a big-ass ribbon.
Yeah, this is good. On the investigation that occurred, and this is in The Aviationist. Of course, there's a magazine called The Aviationist. But anyhow, not one that I would ever come across unless I got this link. And I did, and I appreciate that greatly. And it cracks me up because it is the full report. And credit where credit's due, first of all. Jeff, thank you for sending this to me. Jeff on Twitter sent it to me. I pulled it up. It is the report released on the French Rafale passenger's accidental ejection, revealing both human and technical failures. That's the headline. All right. Investigation complete. Now we can get to the bottom of how it is a 64-year-old man got jettisoned in mid-flight from a fighter jet.
We have a brief piece of audio from the investigators as they combed over the details.
Holy Jesus.
That incident, by the way, occurred almost a little over a year ago. It was March 20th, 2019. Time flies. We've had so many of these strange stories over the years, I can never remember where to place them. Or if I come across them, sometimes I come across them 3 and 4 years after they occurred. But we got that one right on time when it happened. It was in March of last year.
So March 20th, 2019. I feel like that's the same distance away from us as March 20th, 2020.
Yeah,
They're about the same
I
distance
feel the
away.
same way. You're right. When a civilian passenger riding in a 2-seat, and I will butcher this, Ami de l'Air de Sault Raphael ejected from the aircraft while the pilot flying remained at the controls, despite the fact that his canopy, basically the entire cockpit, was also jettisoned, and managed to make an emergency landing, saving the aircraft. The report from the incident was released by French officials, and it makes for bizarre reading, but fun. The incident took place near the Saint-Dizier Air Base in eastern France.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Saint-Dizier. The boost.
Where the flight originated from. According to the investigation, findings by the French Investigation Bureau for State Aviation Safety, and a summary report that was released in said magazine, this is great. The flight began as a civilian incentive flight granted to non-military passengers who have a supporting role in aircraft operation, and for journalists in the aviation industry. So if you're a journalist in the aviation industry and you write for this magazine and you want to know how something works or what it's like to be in those planes, they give you the opportunity to have a firsthand experience. And you have to go through the checks and obviously all of the medical background to ensure that you can be in one of these planes.
Right. So those journalists are professional masochists, right?
They're people who love planes a little too much.
They get off on G-force.
They do. They love it. So if you're one of these journalists who writes for these magazines, you've been in the back of one of these jets to learn how they work, and presumably it helps you better understand the subject that you write about. The report identified the passenger as a 64-year-old employee of a French defense manufacturer who, according to the report, was offered a discovery flight on this fighter jet as a surprise by 4 of his buddies who he works with. One of those guys is a former French Air Force pilot, as I mentioned earlier. There's a sequence of factors, as I like to say, a confluence of events that contribute to the accident, which began almost immediately. From the jump, they screw this thing up. Basically, every regulation that is in place to ensure that something like this never happens was ignored completely. They skipped required medical checks for a high-performance tactical jet passenger. That seems like a big deal for a 64-year-old man. You want to get that ticker checked out. We got to make sure you can handle this.
Yeah, if he's got the heart of Dick Cheney, he's not going up in that jet.
The passenger, by the way, and I love this, who fired his ejection seat. I knew it. We got it right. We got it right by accident. He did. The 64-year-old dude pulled his ejection seat lever. I knew it because we said it was one of two things. Either the dude flying the jet decided, watch this, woo-hoo-hoo, hold on, buddy, or the old man said, screw it, I'm out.
I bet there was a moment where the investigator thought it was possible that the pilot said the hell with it because they blew all these regulations out the door anyway.
Yeah, he probably
so
just
why
said
not? One more.
Let's just inject this 64-year-old man off into the sky.
Au revoir, France. Au revoir.
So they skipped all of this. They didn't do the required medical checks. The guy that was the passenger had only been cleared to get on the flight by all the powers that be a couple of hours prior to them taking the flight, and only under the condition that he not be subjected to negative G's. The problem is they ignored all of that too. They blew right past the +3 that he was supposed to be at and ended up with a 6.
6 G's.
Negative G's.
That's unbelievable.
It's like, whoa. Oh my God. I know the last time we talked about this, you said that you would absolutely do this.
I would.
And I believe you. I believe that's true. I mean, plenty of people have done it. I know some people that have done it.
with the proper regulations being followed,
Yeah.
I would have to go through the medical screening. I got to make sure my lung capacity is good for it.
Now that you know this story, though, that it's even possible for you to make the kind of mistake this 64-year-old man did and accidentally eject yourself. Good Christ. I'd say, listen, not for nothing, shackle my arms.
Yep.
I mean,
Oh,
I
yes,
don't
yes.
want to accidentally press a button in here that sees me flying out the back of this freaking jet.
Like an unaware hospital guest, right? Shackle my arms.
Yeah, just make it happen.
So when I awaken, I don't hurt anybody, nor do I hurt myself.
Good God. So the safety checks had been approximate at best. They didn't bother to check his resting heart rate. They did because he was wired. I guess they connect you to any number of gadgets that monitor your vitals when you get on these planes.
Which they didn't really care about because they're going twice the G-force allowed.
No, they didn't care about it. And when they went back in the investigation to see where he was sitting around 142 to 152 beats per minute before they even took off. Now, I don't know if that's good or bad and for a 64-year-old man about to fly a jet. Mine would be skyrocketed as well, but I don't know what the sitting heart rate should be in that situation. But I'm sure they do. I'm sure they know what it should be and what it can't be. And it looks like they just ignored it completely. During the critical adjustment of the retention harness for the Martin Baker MK16 ejection seat, Martin Baker's like, well, it's not our fault. The back seat of the Rafale, the passenger was not cross-checked by the ground crew and had not tightened the harness. It always comes back to the harness. We had the guy that, got up and was on what's that thing called? I just said it.
The hang glider?
Hang glider.
Yeah.
Our hang glider guy knew his harness was loose and not secured safely, but was too afraid to ask the question. And that is really ridiculous on several levels, first of all. And I compared it at the time to the people who get into a roller coaster and don't tell the guy, hey, it's a little loose over here. No, we're not doing that. Your life is in danger. Let's make sure we're buckled in.
You know how that goes. Did you strap the harness? Ooh, no, I didn't. I'm canceling this trip.
Yeah.
This ain't happening.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Because if you can't remember to strap me in, and I'm the guy riding with you on a hang glider, we're done here.
Well, there are incidents, by the way, of people who tandem jump out of planes where they forgot to put on the parachute. That's happened. That's a toughie. There's no coming back from that. I mean, you jumped.
No, there's not.
You jumped out of a plane with somebody without a parachute. Mm-hmm. You got however much time you have to say to the guy, "You son of a bitch." That's it. And I'm strapped to you in my final moments.
So, which one's your favorite kid? Since it's just all of us together, it's a beautiful picture.
Oh, I just can't fathom. I mean, it's
got to be your middle one, right?
Oh,
he's a hell of a ball player
that you'll never see again. He was not cross-checked, not tightened the harness adequately on his own, and also not donned the G-suit pants correctly. His helmet and oxygen mask were unbuckled completely. The second they took off, it unwound rapidly when the flight began. So his mask, his helmet, and everything came off of him. So my man is sitting back there, not adjusted properly, meaning the belt.
Essentially, he's going commando in the cockpit.
He's in the back seat, 64 years old. Maybe a bad ticker, we don't know. We're blowing right past the G's that he was supposed to be exposed to. His mask doesn't work. They're hauling ass. My man in the front is just flying.
He did the right thing then.
He's like, I don't know. I would think you'd need to have something when you eject out to protect you.
Well, but you're going to die if you stay. So this is the only way. It's going to get really cold outside, but that's all right.
I don't understand how you can't put your pants on correctly. I mean, this was really butchered. We can't get our pants on right? How am I supposed to fly in this thing if I can't put on a pair of pants?
Did they check the BAC of these guys?
I started thinking that too. According to the original French language report translated to English, quote, following orders of a regular training mission that involved two other Rafales, the pilot took off and climbed at 47 degrees, generating a load factor of around plus 4 Gs. Then as he leveled off, he subjected his passenger to a negative load factor of about negative 0.6 Gs. This is where problems from the harness not being tight enough began to contribute to the accidental sequence.
46 degrees? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Jesus, at that speed?
The translated report went on to reveal discovering the feeling of the negative load factor, the insufficiently strapped and totally surprised passenger held onto the ejector handle for dear life until it ejected him. The very thing that he was scared of and the feeling that had come over him was one of being insecure, unsecure. So he's rattling around in the cockpit because he can't even put his pants on right. His mask is flown off his head. He's jostling about at G's that he's never comprehended. And he reaches down for this lever going, holy Jesus.
Let me hold the handle.
Not knowing that the very thing he's clutching for safety is going to cause further panic in the form of an ejection.
Meanwhile, the pilot,
he's
none the wiser.
All this, like, what? Isn't this great, Bobby?
Next thing, doo-doo-doo-doo.
Well, he quickly became aware of the problem because this report gets even better. So the report said that during the ejection, the civilian lost his helmet and his oxygen mask. Due to a technical flaw of the seat, the dinghy failed to initiate. But fortunately, the incident happened above land and the passenger sustained just minor injuries. So he discovers the passenger discovers the feeling of a negative load factor. The insufficiently strapped and totally surprised passenger holds on for dear life to an ejection handle, the last thing on earth you can grab. It activates unintentionally the entire sequence. Now, get this. On these jets, when you do that, it doesn't matter if it's the pilot or the passenger. Whoever hits eject is, in essence, ejecting both of you. So you better, A, trust the hell out of the guy flying with you. He's not on some suicide mission. And then, B, you know, obviously, once this sequence begins, I got to imagine it's pretty close to instantaneous, right? I mean, presumably if you're ejecting from a jet, you've either been shot down, you're about to hit a mountain,
right,
crash into something. You got to get out now.
Well, you have the pyro, like it blows all the bolts, right?
Right, yeah. So this guy had about a second to realize, holy Jesus, what the? Now, get this. They further screw it up, which makes it even more of a unique situation. A technical malfunction prevented the pilot from also being ejected from the aircraft. So the rear seat passenger, the 64-year-old man who they just said, yeah, get on, he gets ejected out of this jet. The pilot, probably wondering what the hell's going on, and as Tom pointed out the first time we talked about this, is only hearing so my man, it's like, Jesus,
we are traveling over Versailles.
So now he's got to figure this out. Because he obviously it's got to be confusing to him. His passenger has just been ejected. He looks behind him, homeboy's ass over teacup, and here he is just flying off in the distance.
He's got the big blue sky now. No tinting. There's no tinting now.
So the normal ejection sequence for this Dassault Rafale two-seat aircraft would have caused the crew members to be ejected even if only one of them initiates the sequence. This means the rear seat passenger accidentally pulling the ejection seat between their legs should have ejected the pilot. In the bizarre incident, both the front and rear canopies are absolutely disintegrated and ejected by an explosive charge. The rear seat flies out the back of the aircraft, but the pilot's seat remains inside the aircraft. So because of a technical glitch, my man's got to land a plane with no cockpit. He's just got straps on his shoulders and legs, and he's holding on for dear life. Everything around him has been blown to bits, and he's got to land this fighter jet wondering what the hell just happened. Now, I imagine we talk about being in a convertible on the highway. Holy moly. the wind hitting your face in a fighter jet.
Well, he's got at least his mask on. But
He's got his mask on. Thank God he knew how to put on his mask.
He probably had the mother of all neck strains out of this thing.
Holy Jesus. The pilot managed to maintain control of the aircraft despite both of the canopies being gone. He dumped fuel and made an emergency landing. So my man was heads up. He's like, I got to dump this fuel. I don't know why you would do that or what that does, but obviously it's part of a procedure that they're taught to do because that's not the first thing I'd be thinking
It
about.
lightens the Raphael.
Yeah, I guess so. He makes the emergency landing. He immediately left the aircraft as quickly as possible.
So somebody got an oil shower out of nowhere.
My man dumps the fuel, manages to land the plane. They basically describe a sequence that upon landing, he jumps out of the plane and runs. Jumped out of the plane and ran because he's covered in, I think, the gas.
Oh, my God. He's also got adrenaline rush. He needs to run it off.
Oh, and he's probably looking around for homeboy that was ejected back there. Did we kill him?
He's like Bourne. Remember, he's sitting at the cafe. He's like,
yeah.
I know that I could run for 3 miles without stopping at full speed. That's what this guy did. He probably ran for 5 kilometers.
The reason for the failure of the pilot's ejection seat in the escape sequence was reported as the explosion from the initial rear seat ejection ruptured the casing of the sequence selector supposed to trigger the pilot's ejection seat. A number of recommendations for passenger flight operations were made based on the finding of the accident's investigation. These include allowing an adequate interval between medical checks for the flight and the flight itself, and the completion of the checks to make sure the passenger is mentally and psychologically prepared to be in a high-performance jet, a tactical aircraft. After the findings of the French report and the unusual list of factors that contributed to this bizarre accident, it may be reasonable to assume that anyone taking a media or VIP flight in French tactical aircrafts in the future will be subjected to more rigorous procedural regimens.
I'd imagine so. So here's a question for the physicists out there.
Oh, that is too good.
Negative load factor. Is that like the feeling when a roller coaster or an airplane dips? Is that what that is? Negative load factor. Because we don't like that. I don't know anybody who likes the negative load factor feeling when the plane dips unexpectedly.
Yeah, dips unexpectedly.
Or the roller coaster does like the quick up and down.
Yeah.
And if you do that at negative 0.5 Gs, what in the hell does that feel like compared to a normal roller coaster?
See, this is all further evidence that I'm never going to reconsider my stance on whether or not I take one of these flights. It's just not going to happen. Not going to do it. You can't even get me up on what are the things they have at the beach? I forget what those are called.
Parasailing?
Yeah, I wouldn't even parasail. I don't even do that.
That doesn't look safe.
It never doesn't look safe.
I'd trust actually flying in a fighter jet with the medical checks and regulations more than I would a parasail.
I'm always struck that it's like just some drunken couple up on a parasail. It probably was some drunken kid driving the boat. Like, yeah.
Here goes the latch, and we're going to go splat face first into the hotel like my man who was...
that was in France too, wasn't it? Or was that Spain? Italy? Can't remember which.
It was France.
I thought, yeah. Well, they watched that guy whipping across and hit the side of the hotel.
He was windsurfing.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Kite surfing.
But he had no control. They were... Like it snapped off.
Yeah, but if the parasail snaps, I mean, you're probably doing the same thing unless you're going out to sea.
I'm not doing it. Never going to do it. All that stuff where you're up in the air. Here's I'll get on big commercial airlines. Fine. I've done it a million times. I've flown to Europe. I've flown all over. 9-hour flights, you name it. I've done it. That I'll do. I don't love it, but I'll do it. I know the percentages. I know we're safe. I know it's safer than driving your car around town. I know all that, so I just say, shut up, read, watch a movie, do whatever you got to do, but get past this. Load up at the hotel bar, whatever you got to do to get through it all, or the airport bar. But these little planes, I went on a puddle jumper from Charlotte to Johnson City, Tennessee one time. I don't like any flight where I can see propellers. Because if you can see propellers, you know that if one of those propellers stops, that's your ass. I don't want to know. If we're gonna go down, that's it. That's all. I did do the blimp,
like the pilot of Lost, the pilot episode.
Right.
It's just everybody's chilling and then they cut to the commercial.
Yeah. No. That's when we do the game where how many ways the ways you die, and kids love these games. When you're young, you think of all this stuff because you're infatuated with death, and it starts very early. It's actually heartbreaking when they start asking you questions about, are you going to die someday, and are they going to die someday? All kids do this. Parents, you guys know what I'm talking about. You end up having it's a very delicate conversation. It's difficult. It's them coming to the realization that this is impermanent. That's difficult for them to understand, and when that happens, it graduates eventually at some point to where they just accept that reality. And then they ask bizarre questions. Well, what's the worst way to die? Well, I don't know. I've never died. But I would tell you that I would think this way, this way, this way, and this way. Tom's number one worst way to die? Stabbing. Doesn't want to be stabbed.
In the arms of Roseanne Barr.
Dying through multiple stab wounds is Tom's great fear. Anything else I think he can handle? You stab him? Not good. If you can see the knives coming, you got problems.
That's
yeah, that bothers you.
It does.
Yeah. So knives. All right. Now, for me, drowning, high on my list. Shark attacks, high on my list. Not a good way to go. Unless it's a massive great white, he just bites you in half. You never saw it coming. All right. But if it's like a 9-foot reef shark or something, damn it, man, I'm going to be here a while, try to fight this thing until I bleed out. That's not good.
You'd probably fight head first at that point.
Oh,
try to headbutt him. And if you miss, you miss.
Yeah.
Ball game.
Let's go. Let's do this thing. Eating alive of any kind, really. It's not exclusive to sharks. You
My man with the lion, the
tiger,
old man.
lion. Oh,
studying the poop.
You got time. What a dumbass, though. What was he doing, man? Maybe it was his time. What was he thinking?
He was trotting to the poop gleefully. He's like, look at this poop.
Why? And that lion and him have the same realization in the exact moment. That's the worst part of that video, is the moment the lion knows, you're not protected. And then the man knows, I'm not protected. And they look at each other. And a lion is going to do what a lion's going to do. And that man is powerless to stop it. That's the tough part. It's not the attack. The attack's the attack. It's the moment of realization when my man looks at the lion and the lion looks at the man.
Not even an HBK super kick to the lion would deter the lion.
The lion is going to do what the lion's going to do. And it's unbelievable. But any kind of animal eating you, yes, lions, bears, tigers, gorillas, anybody, sharks, not good. That's high on my list. I don't want to be prey. I can handle other forms of death, including knifings. I can handle that because I have a suspicion that you don't even feel it. Your adrenaline gets going so much.
I feel like this comes full circle, though, because the discussion of grumpy old men is true. Older dudes talk about it. Like, they talk about it. You hear about him? Died on impact. Lucky son of a...
Yeah, lucky son of a gun. Yeah. No, I do think... this is interesting, the topic is, because I do think that as you get older and closer to your demise, and you have far fewer days in front of you than you once did, say in your 20s, obviously. And none of us ever know, of course, but given the standard life cycle, I think there is a weird acceptance old people have. I'm always blown away by it. They'll just like the candor in which they jokingly talk about it.
Well, they've got no
laughs.
choice.
Yeah, but my dad laughs about it. He'll be like, oh, yeah, who knows, and I'll make a joke about, whatever, dry cleaning or bananas or whatever it might be, right,
Bananas?
Yeah.
Joking on a banana?
No, joking about don't buy.
Green bananas.
Yeah, green bananas. Like things like that. It doesn't bother him. Ooh.
You'll get there.
Not for a while. Maybe
ask your dad when the turning point was.
I think I know. I think it's when he got into his 70s.
Yeah. My dad's the same way. He talks about it all the time on the phone now. He's like, some days I got to open my hand with my other hand. Some days I can open my hand by itself. When I wake up, I play a guessing game. Can I open my left hand without the help of my right hand?
Some days I have to open my hand with my other hand is one of my favorite lines.
I wake up, I play a guessing game. Can I open my hand without my other hand today?
Well, I told you my mom that day, I was complaining of shoulder pain and that there was a numbness in my right shoulder. Of course, that's like a symptom of a heart attack. And if I say that to my wife, she's like, you're not having a heart attack, are you? I'm like, no, I'm not having a heart attack. It's like a nerve pinch or something from working out or whatever it is. But I was telling my mom about this numbness. She goes, oh, yeah, I had about a 3-year stretch where I couldn't feel my shoulder. Couldn't feel it every day. Didn't even know it was there.
And your mom is healthy as a horse.
Healthy as a horse. She's like, I didn't know what was going on. Just couldn't even feel my shoulder. It's just weird stuff when you get old. I'm like, what the hell? That's what we have to look forward to. Just random pains, the inability to operate and fully function.
Unless we get nanites before we get too old,
Yeah.
then we're in business, buddy.
Oh, man. The Aviationist, thank you for the follow-up. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Help minimize your home energy costs? With the city's rebates, you can get up to $100 off eligible options. Stack your savings this holiday season by coupling in-store deals with rebates from the City of Tallahassee. Visit talgov.com/YOU. That's talgov.com/YOU or call 850-891-4968 to learn more. That's 850-891-4968.
Right now, you can get family dinners to go with curbside pickup at Gordo's North Side. That's right, all day, every day after 4 p.m. Please pay with a credit card. Bring your own PIN to sign the receipt. And they want to thank you, and so do I, for supporting your local restaurants at a time where they need it most. By the way, I'm looking at these meals. Woo! First of all, give them a call, 850-727-5914. And order of the, Tom, you want to help me out here? Because I don't think you want me doing this. Lechon Asado.
Lechon asado.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Arroz con polo.
Arroz con pollo.
4 Cubans.
4 Cubans.
Polo a la plancha.
Pollo a la plancha.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's like beans and rice, right? With some plantains. Boom.
Plantain. Well, the arroz
Yeah.
con pollo is plantains and a chicken salad. Roast pork is the lechon asado.
GordosCubanFood.com. Ta-da!
Seminole Headlines Podcast Edition is presented to you by the Morgan Law Group, representing the policyholder, going after the insurance companies. Offices, Miami, Orlando, Naples, and Panama City. Online at policyadvocate.com.
Lane's Medical Shop has all of your home medical needs. They carry home oxygen, hospital beds, nebulizers, walkers, wheelchairs, orthotics, diabetic shoes, and all sleep apnea supplies. Lane's also has a weight loss clinic in-house, no appointment necessary, including B12 injections and any prescriptions necessary with the lowest prices around, and delivers to Tallahassee and South Georgia. Located only 40 miles from Tallahassee, go see Blake today, 210 West Main Street, Colquitt, Georgia, 229-758-9111.
Your hometown Whataburger drive-thru is open 24/7 as usual. But now, as we all adjust to this new normal, we've also kicked off curbside pickup for online orders from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So instead of walking your order to your table, we'll walk it right out to your car. Just because we can't be close doesn't mean we can't be neighborly. Whataburger.
This hour of the Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Jerry's Cigar Shop, 2810 Shara Road and 2910 Cary Forest Parkway. Online at jerrycigarshop.com. Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Well, that story was fun. This one is not. It's also very, very specific, but it's a short segment, so we don't have to remain mired in the muck. But it's worth noting. Texas Rangers Hall of Famer. It's weird to refer to him that way because he won't be in the Baseball Hall of Fame, but he is in the Texas Rangers Hall of Fame. I mean, Josh Hamilton in the news for the wrong reasons again. Always wondered where this was going to go. We know how it started. Elite baseball talent, prospect, Tampa Bay Rays, derailed drug addiction, multiple opportunities to get his life together, failed, given up on, only to emerge, become a feel-good story, get clean, get sober, realize that potential, which was always prodigious, impact the league, both for Cincinnati Reds, the Texas Rangers, has a couple of injury-addled seasons with the Angels, eventually ends up again with the Rangers before, I think, his 5th or 6th surgery ends his career. So he was an interesting story, somewhat of a cautionary tale, rescued in time to I guess, make something of that talent. Certainly make a gazillion dollars in doing so because he parlayed it into a $105 million contract. So he will never long for money. You could argue the highlight of his career was the home run derby in Yankee Stadium. It was Yankee Stadium, right? I remember he was trying to hit it out of Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, it was old Yankee Stadium. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The good story, or the interesting story, at least in terms of talent, that is about to be undone here when I read to you this next story about Josh Hamilton. My favorite story, again, just referencing the talent, not the character of the man or who he is, was that after all of the years of addiction and abusing of his body and his talents, after all of that, when he goes in the middle of the night to his grandmother's house, we've heard the story, she lets him in, he sleeps for 2 days, he eats soup, he begins to better himself.
He's emaciated.
He realizes he's going to die, that it's all done. Okay, fast forward, he decides he's going to give baseball one more go if baseball will have him. And he ends up going to basically a baseball compound in Florida where he knows the lead hitting instructor, the guy that's there that has worked with plenty of pros and other elite prospects from college to high school. And he goes there because he knew him from his time with the Rays, and he wants him to be the first to look at his swing, and they start with a very basic exercise. You're going to hit off the tee. Just going to watch you take a few swings off the tee. And he proceeds to hit 3 of them out of the yard to straightaway center off a tee, where you're only generating power by yourself. There's no pitch coming in. And that instructor noting he had never seen somebody do that like that with a flick of the wrist. So it was still there. It was still in there, the eye hand, the bat speed, all of it. And then down the path he goes to his return to the major leagues. All right, I don't say that to laud him, just to note the talent, which was obviously inarguable. Unfortunately, I did worry at the end with all the injuries that we would maybe get a story not unlike this. I thought it would involve drugs. Maybe it does. We'll find out in the coming days. He's been indicted by a grand jury in Tarrant County. The account is that he injured a child with intentional bodily harm. It's third-degree felony. It stems from an incident last year when Hamilton allegedly abused one of his daughters. According to the arrest warrant affidavit, CBS reporting this, Hamilton and his oldest daughter started fighting after she had said something that upset him, in which Hamilton threw a water bottle at her, hitting her in the chest. He then pulled a chair out from under her, threw it in her direction, did not hit her, subsequently carried her over his shoulder to her room, threw her on the bed, pinned down her face to the bed, and began to hit her about the hands and legs, both with an open and closed fist. According to the affidavit, Hamilton told his daughter after he had finished hitting her, "I hope you go in front of the effing judge and tell him what a terrible dad I am so I don't have to ever see you again." Now, I don't know what's true and what's not true. We're going to find out, but that is what he's being charged with. The alleged incident occurred days after Hamilton made an appearance with other Rangers greats after the team's final game at Globe Life Park last year. At the time, Hamilton and his ex-wife Katie shared custody of his 3 daughters. Hamilton turned himself in, pled not guilty. His lawyer says he's not guilty. He paid a $35,000 bond, and we shall see. He signed a 5-year, now that I look at this, $125 million contract with the Angels after 2012, had subpar seasons due to injuries, had an alcohol relapse in 2015, played 50 more games for the Rangers, and that was that.
Well, that's a lot to ponder.
It is an awful lot to ponder. It is a sad story. I hope, obviously.
If that's true, he's in the Tyreek Hill. I hope he dies Hall of Fame.
100% correct. I think that is what we would say. If that is true, he is in the category of if he dies, he dies. Or if he goes to prison for 30 years, that's fine too. Whatever it might be. Yeah.
I wouldn't care. 6-1. You F with a child, 6-1.
No, I'm with you, man. Believe me, we're in the same boat there, and that's why we've stated our position a million times. As uncomfortable as it can be to openly note that you wish death upon somebody. We have.
Maybe not wish actively, but if it happens.
Yeah, you're not losing sleep?
I'm unaffected.
Yeah.
To the most.
Yeah, no, you are completely apathetic. You don't care.
Yes, to the most apathetic degree.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah. There you go. So that's why we will not remain mired here. It's dark. It's a dark, gloomy place to be, but it is a significant note. It is newsworthy. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
To Zeppelin's Hangar 38, 6668 Thomasville Road behind Walgreens.
During this current health crisis, our homes have never been more important. They are the gathering place for our families. They are our schools, our entertainment, and our protection. We know this has taken some getting used to, but we also know we will get through it together. So here's to the home. May it always be a place of comfort for you. A reminder from your friends at Barron-O Heating and Air, following CDC measures to protect your family and ours.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.
Time to head to Cabo's. Cabo's lunch deal menu features soup and salad, the ultimate wet supreme burrito, a quarter-pound cheeseburger, taco salad, and many more. All include tea or coffee and are just $8.79. Cabo's Island Grill and Bar, located in the Appalachie Parkway Shopping Center.
This hour of the Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Jerry's Cigar Shop, 2810 Shara Road and 2910 Cary Forest Parkway. Online at jerrycigarshop.com. Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks so much for tuning to it. I hope this finds you doing well. I hope given the circumstances that you're holding up. And I empathize and am thinking a lot about the people who have certainly tougher circumstances than I have right now, or some of us have in general. I know there are people out there who have lost their jobs, and there are people who are trying to find a way to make do in a troubling time. If you got young kids and circumstances that kind of out of your control, it can be very, very difficult. And hopefully, when you listen to us, you can escape some of those pressures, thoughts, worries, fears, and all that, and have a little fun in the world of sports. Speaking of which, if you miss portions of the show, you can find it online, ESPNTallahassee.com, or we are posting the show on YouTube, not the video, but I mean you can hear it if you listen to the video. Watch the video, you just see a blank screen, not my beautiful face, not Tom's beautiful face, but rather just the audio. That's what you get. You can email if you like, jcs at 979espnradio.com. Back to the sports for a second, and I would say this. I generally speaking like Daniel Jeremiah. I think he does a good job. His mock is up. I care more about his mock than the other mocks, typically. And if you want to know, Tom, now that we've handled the matter of one Tom Brady, who I'm going to talk about in a second or in maybe the next segment, it did make me laugh that he projects the Bucs to draft Andrew Thomas, the offensive tackle, out of Georgia. If he's there, that's a very good pick. I don't know that he's going to be there.
That would be the development of the draft. And I don't care if there is a better one and a bigger one. That's the biggest one for me.
Yeah, it would be amazing. If that is, if they are able to do that, then I'm all in. It did crack me up that he noted, because he gives a little sentence or two synopsis for all of these picks. The Bucs are in on Tom Brady. You don't say, Daniel. Yes, they are. Adding protection would be a good idea. Indeed. That's true in general. Quarterbacks, Tom Brady or not, you got to protect them. But, yes, if you're telling me Andrew Thomas is going to be there at 14, I like the way you're thinking, Daniel Jeremiah. I, too, would take him. If you're curious, prior to all that, yes, it's your typical lineup. Joe Burrow going number 1, Chase Young going number 2 to Washington, Jeff Okudah, the cornerback out of Ohio State, going number 3.
That's early.
I feel like it is too, but they're talking about Tristan Wirfs, the defensive tackle from Iowa, going number 4 to the Giants. Justin Herbert going number 5 to Miami.
Ooh, boy.
That has failure written all over it. I'm just
does.
telling you it does. They should take Tua if they're going to take one. If not, they should sign Jameis and move on. I'm hitching my wagon to Winston if I'm the Dolphins. That's selling tickets, and there's talent, man. I'm doing it. I'm taking Winston over Justin Herbert all day.
Herbert in that uniform, it just doesn't fit, man.
I don't think so either. Tua going 6 to the Chargers. Derek Brown, defensive tackle from Auburn, going number 7 to Carolina. Jedrick Willis, offensive tackle from Alabama, going to the Cardinals at 8. The Becton, defensive tackle, the kid out of Louisville who we saw a lot of.
Left tackle, isn't he?
Yeah, is he? Oh, yeah. What did I say, defensive tackle? No, he's a defensive tackle, isn't he?
Is he really?
No, he's an offensive tackle. What the hell's wrong with me? You're correct. He's a left tackle. What's wrong with me?
He's the one who ran the incredible 40.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I got it mixed up with somebody else. Sorry about that. Yes, you're right. Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker out of Clemson, going 10 to Cleveland. CeeDee Lamb, the wide receiver out of Oklahoma, going to the Jets at 11. Jerry Jeudy. And this is where it gets interesting, because this is the run on receivers that he's predicting here. I must ask you, it's very possible CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, or Henry Ruggs III are still one of those three are sitting there at 14 when the Bucs draft. Would you rather have Andrew Thomas or one of the aforementioned?
I would want specifically one of the aforementioned.
Jerry Jeudy?
Jerry Jeudy, yes. Because he's widely regarded by all evaluators as the best route running prospect in years, like a long, long time.
Watch that video of him. His highlight reel is insane.
Some saying in their careers as evaluators of the draft that this is the best route runner coming out of college. And when you're talking about a Tom Brady-led offense, you need to be where you are supposed to be, precisely on time, in the spot, to a millimeter's exactness. And that's what Jerry Jeudy would be. The others, no.
Got to be upright to hit him. You would take Jerry Jeudy over Andrew Thomas.
Well,
can we just keep ignoring our offensive line needs forever? We can't. At some point, you're always going to take a guy that is in lieu of a sexier pick if you're taking an offensive lineman. I get it. There's always going to be an available skill position player that we believe is transcendent in every draft, if you're drafting top 15, available to you in lieu of the offensive lineman. But our offensive line is crap every year. At some point, you just have to bite the bullet and take him.
I'll take the cop out. Neither of those two players are going to be there.
Oh, well, then damn it. That's depressing. All right. So you wouldn't take Henry Ruggs or you wouldn't take CeeDee Lamb,
Nope.
who I like a lot?
Nope, but no.
Okay.
Judy has the exact hallmark that you would want because you got to, if you don't get him, then you got to go get Edelman. But I don't know that you have enough cap room to go execute the Edelman trade.
Well, you could get Justin Jefferson from LSU, and he's an elite wide receiver who catches the ball down the field as well as inside. I mean,
You need somebody who is a little bit more nimble. And I know that Jerry's not 5'7", but he's a little bit more nimble on the inside. You could put Godwin back on the outside part of the field.
Tell you who I don't want. I don't want T. Higgins. All right.
I think you'd have adequate enough blocking if you have that array of skill set players because of what the defense can't blitz you. Not with that dude at quarterback. And the ball's going to be out of his hands,
It is scary
1.2.
It is scary to think if you've got Tom Brady, Jerry Jeudy, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and if you ever get anything out of a-hole at tight end, good Lord.
Yeah, right. You can't pressure in that situation.
I mean, you really are loaded. You are stacked.
Yes. And that's what.
But the problem is, here's the counter to my point there is, can you run the ball at all? Or are you going to be the same old predictable team that you've always been, which gets your quarterback killed, and now you haven't taken an offensive lineman and you're still stuck with your sorry running back?
Well, but it hasn't been the argument. All you got to do is cut down on the turnovers. You can be the exact same team if you cut down on the turnovers.
But you couldn't cut down on the turnovers because you were one-dimensional and you were asking him to throw the ball down the field constantly.
But it's Tom
45
Brady.
times a game.
But it automatically is better in the turnover department. Exponentially so.
That's true, though. I think that is also true. It is going to be better. He's not going to throw 30 interceptions. He's not even going to throw 15.
And the problem solved. You can have the exact same roster and Tom Brady's there and it magically gets all the better.
It gets better. That's true. It gets better. But it doesn't – you still have to have a balance to your offense to win games. That was going to be true of, obviously, Winston and Brady. Any quarterback that we put in there, there's got to be some semblance of a threat to run the ball. We just haven't had it. It's so aggravating. That was going to need to happen regardless. And we would be having this question, whether it's Brady or Winston. Would you draft Jerry Jeudy or the offensive lineman? It's the same question.
If it were Winston, I'd draft the offensive lineman.
Well, I think it's the same question. I think
it's
it's the exact same.
It's very different situations. Jameis, that's the way that all the analysts treat it. So, damn it, I'm going to do the same thing. It's not logical, but fine, I'll be petty about it.
You're being petty is right. If Andrew Thomas is there, we're both in agreement. We're taking him, and we're excited about it, and we can't wait to get the season started because he's going to be a plug and play. All right, here we go. Super Bowl bound, baby.
It's the right answer, but you know what? No, Tom doesn't need it.
Win the NFC South. Get to the playoffs. Deep run in year one. The same burning questions that I have and that I keep going back to that concern me. Now, the Bucs couldn't have known this, and it's not anybody's fault per se. But how we're worried about college football and whether or not they're going to play it and how much time is being missed here to build your team and to install your offense and to change the mindset of a culture of a group of people. Well, I mean, obviously this is what's going on in the NFL too. We're going to talk about a truncated preseason. If they have one. OTAs, no. I mean, you've got – now, it's going to help that the quarterback is the offensive coordinator. So he's going to be teaching as he's participating.
Yeah, but we'll get to see what the learning curve of the receivers is actually like.
Well, we saw
and that was called into question last year.
Oh, yes.
Not enough by the national heads, mind you, but by those people who watched the games week to week.
I was so angry week to week watching those guys not be on the same page. And without the All-22s and without hearing a coach talk about – the hot route or whatever else was available to Winston that I couldn't always see, it was painfully obvious at times that he and Godwin and he and Evans were not on the same page. Godwin especially. Evans was usually the result of just not trying real hard. And that's inexcusable. That pisses me off to no end.
There was a quote yesterday, and I know you're going to talk about this a little bit more, but this is a specific thing that I know is not on the docket. Brady talked about he would communicate to Belichick that if there was a receiver on the field that he couldn't trust, that he'd tell Belichick, you can put him on the field. I'm not throwing the ball to him.
And he did that. He was like that. You could see it in the games.
You could see that last year also with Jameis.
Oh, there were times he stopped throwing it to him.
Perryman, until he fixed him.
He fixed him, yes.
He learned his lesson in Tennessee. He says, the hell with you. I'm done with you, unless we go to work. And Perryman, to his credit, I think, folded. Said, all right, I'm sorry. Let's get this thing together. But when you watch Jameis make these very predictable throws out of predictable formations to start the game specifically, the same out route throw.
That gets picked every time?
Right.
Can we stop doing that?
I think it's because he trusts people, a limited amount of people as the season develops. He's got certain guys that he likes in certain formations and certain plays because he knows they know that concept. But I can't trust them to know the other concepts. Mike missed obvious reads that Jameis never went back to. Like, for example, the Carolina before halftime throw down the left side.
It's a perfect throw, and he just
It's an adjust, and Mike said, well, I had to make an adjustment on it. I didn't think Jameis would see it. Hey, a-hole, that guy's actually pretty football smart.
Oh, he's really,
You're not expecting to see the football?
Smarter than Mike.
Right.
Would also note that Godwin has said as much this postseason. He takes some responsibility for Jameis's interceptions. He has said it. Jameis shouldn't, quote unquote, should not be blamed for all these 30.
He said half. He said half.
Yeah, but if you're going to do that on balance, and you've brought this up to you, in fairness to you, you have brought it up. He had another 15 balls that could have been picked. I mean, there's a highlight reel of them that were right there. So it's not like we go, oh, he would have had 15. If we're going to do the woulda, coulda, shoulda game, he probably still would have had 25.
I'll save everybody the minute and a half. This is where I'd insert the Carson Palmer sees it all, like a quarterback in that system sees it and said he'd be great this year. So
it's Carson Palmer, whatever. I'd say Carson.
He lived it.
I'd say Carson, is Tom Brady going to be great? He'd probably say the same damn thing. Oh, yeah.
Well, he'd say, well, he's not running Bruce's system.
He'd say he's the best quarterback of all time. Of course he's going to be great. There you go. That's what he's going to say. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I think, well, we're not going to relitigate this situation.
It's tempting.
I do want to go forward and talk about Brady. I'll do it next. Jeff Cameron, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
It's time to unite, Tallahassee. After years of our great local restaurants serving us, it's our turn to serve them. With this simple purchase of gift cards, we can help them survive the financial toll of COVID-19. Buy them for yourself, your family, or as gifts. No doubt we'll all have a reason to go out and celebrate soon as we safely can. Go to hungertohelp.com and show your support for the heart of our community today. This message brought to you in part by your local Tallahassee radio broadcasters.
I really need a new refrigerator, and I want to get the best deal. But there are so many options, I don't know which one to choose. I wish there was a way to make this simpler.
With so many choices, a major appliance purchase like this can be overwhelming. The City of Tallahassee helps make the choice simple by offering rebates on Energy Star appliances. You can receive up to $300 in rebates on refrigerators, clothes washers, and more. Are you thinking about purchasing and installing a smart thermostat to help minimize your home energy costs? With the city's rebates, you can get up to $100 off eligible options. Stack your savings this holiday season by coupling in-store deals with rebates from the City of Tallahassee. Visit talgov.com/YOU. That's talgov.com/YOU. Or call 850-891-5000. 850-891-4968 to learn more. That's 850-891-4968.
Wind. It can really blow up your day. But not if you have Trico Onyx beam blades that slice through wind. Pick up a pair of Trico Onyx wiper blades today and get $10 off instantly. Exclusively at Advance Auto Parts.
With a Bojangles 3-piece Chicken Supreme snack, you get a plate of bold, boneless chicken and a hot, fluffy, made-from-scratch biscuit for just $3.99. Or, if you'd rather 2 pieces of bone-in fried chicken with a biscuit and a fixin', don't you worry, because that's $3.99 too. It's such a good deal, you can knock out dinner and balance your budget in one fell swoop. Because if you're going to take out 2 birds with 1 stone, they ought to be delicious. Bojangles. It's bow time.
Jeff Cameron here, and mark it down. Wednesdays on my show, we're giving away Which Wicked sandwiches. That's right. Tune in to the Jeff Cameron Show every Wednesday for your chance at a free Wicked 5 meats and 3 cheeses of deliciousness. Which is Wicked Wednesdays every week on the JCS.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
Planning on expanding or renovating your home or business? Did you know that these construction projects start with preliminary work such as professional sets of drawings and proper engineering? Before you apply for financing or sign a lease agreement, allow our team of contractors, architects, and engineers to assist you with planning and budgeting. Hello, I'm Travis, owner of T-Spark Enterprises, and I am here because we want your project to launch on the right foot. Call us today and we will take care of your construction needs. We aim to provide work that will exceed your expectations, guaranteeing picture-perfect results.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CGC 1525336.
Seminole Headlines.
Chill Will, what up, fellas? Love the show. Okay, would you rather hear adults 10 years older than you sound like Charlie Brown, or kids 20 years younger sound like Minions? Oh, Charlie Brown. I can't deal with the Minions. That movie, the show.
So, but is he talking about like the teachers in Charlie Brown?
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
wah.
That is basically how I hear other people talking.
Yeah. This
Corey,
whole show
right next to you.
This whole show, I'm like, will their mouths
His
stop
mouth
moving?
stop moving. I can talk.
Yeah. I would say, I don't think I'm that familiar with how the Minions. Is it just squeaky Minions?
I can't stand them. I can't. First of all, it's not interesting. It's not funny.
No, but
There's
how do they
nothing
talk?
good about the Minions.
Do they talk squeaky? Like, can you not understand?
Yeah,
them?
they go. They do this little sort of.
Oh, I would definitely want to hear the wah.
Yeah, without question.
It's more melodic and slow.
My imitation of the Minion wasn't terrible.
Tuesday night on 97.9 ESPN Radio. This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I am curious. One thing I like about some of what I didn't listen to the interview, but I have read excerpts from it. Tom Brady's interview with Howard Stern that a lot of people have utilized for quotes and talked about both the relationship that Brady had with Belichick, Kraft, the organization, how it ended his time in New England. One thing I'm happy to hear is it sounds like, Tom, we're getting a very motivated Tom Brady. Not a guy who's ready to sail into the sunset, take his money, and just thumb his nose at New England. I can walk, so therefore I will. It's a guy who is a red ass to begin with, feeling as if he has something to prove. That's what I gleaned from some of the comments, that he's excited to show. He may say it doesn't matter, legacy doesn't matter, and I think that to some degree that might be true. If you're in the moment competing, you're not thinking about what people are going to think of you 25 years from now. That's already cemented anyhow. He's got 6 rings. What for me is insightful is this idea that he was eager to show he can still play at an elite level and be the best quarterback in the National Football League. Good. That means he's working, as he always has, to the nth degree, to prepare himself for a season where he is going to have to prove himself again. I mean, you do when you leave that system, when you leave New England, you do have to then go make this franchise yours and lead. I mean, that's why he's brought in. He's the unquestioned leader.
Yeah, it's now his offense. This is the thing we were talking about before the Bucs made the decision, before Brady decided to come to Tampa himself, which was, all right, if Tom Brady takes over as the starting quarterback in Tampa, you may have some tenets of your offense being run, but it's Tom Brady's offense.
Yeah.
Byron Leftwich is completely neutered. Your offensive coordinator happens to be your quarterback, and it's Tom Brady. And if you're going to argue for the best case scenario, it's not just that he's motivated. It's that you look at last year's results, and he said on Howard Stern that he kind of knew that New England's last run, his last run in New England, was before the season even kicked off.
Correct.
Last year. So you already have a defeated Tom Brady producing in December and in the playoffs because of the futility of the situation. You're not getting the best version of him.
Yeah.
If you're going to argue for the best case scenario, that's definitely a point you'd make.
Well, yeah, I was happy to hear that, and I was also happy to hear that for the most part he took the high road. I mean, I think, he talked about it's unfair and it's typical conversation amongst fans, but not something he really thinks about regarding whether or not he could win without Belichick or Belichick could win without him. He's like, we can't do each other's job. It's really just a silly discussion. He can't play quarterback, and I can't be the coach, so I mean, this is stupid, I mean, we accomplished what we accomplished. We did everything we possibly could in the 2 decades we were together. But I was ready to go on my own and prove that I can be the best quarterback in the league. And really has less to do with Bill Belichick. His job is to look at the long-term and short-term future of that franchise that he basically runs.
Yeah, I think there is some rewriting of history within those quotes. But what he is saying, and I think is 100% true, it's glad to hear Tom Brady say this, I'm going into uncharted territory in my 40s.
Yeah.
And I'm still playing well, while Bill had already made the move for the future in Jimmy G. Yet I'm still producing. So Bill's caught between a rock and a hard place where, well, damn it, man, I thought Brady's arm would be shot. I thought his body wouldn't be able to give me anymore.
And he's still doing this,
And yet here I still am. So, like, the fact that the Jimmy Garoppolo situation crops up and it surprises Brady, like some would, suppose before the trade was made, Brady's saying that's a whole bunch of hullabaloo. That's nonsense. I know what Bill's doing when he drafts Garoppolo.
Yeah.
It's what he did when he drafted the kid out of Arkansas, Ryan Mallett. You're trying to find the next guy because quarterbacks don't typically exist into their 40s.
There's always resentment, it seems to me, from veteran quarterbacks, in particular Hall of Fame quarterbacks, if you bring in a quarterback. We saw Ben Roethlisberger get upset about it for really no reason. I think Aaron Rodgers made a comment one time after Green Bay took somebody late. It doesn't make any sense to me. You do understand, I mean, especially in the case of those quarterbacks, you came in and replaced somebody. It's how you got in the league. I mean, you can't be upset that a coach is always looking over his shoulder because he has to protect himself and the organization long term if something happens to you, if you're unable to perform at a high level. And it's reasonable to conclude, if you're a coach, that players in their late 30s are going to drop off. If they don't, it's a minor miracle and they become an outlier. But it's okay to draft people in case that guy's performance begins to slip.
And that's why, honestly, if the Bucs take a receiver in the first 2 rounds, either of the first 2 rounds, I totally understand that.
Because Evans is long in the tooth?
Well,
we're getting there.
Well, you'd want to trade him 2 years early rather than 2 years late.
2 years late.
You don't want to carry that number because let's just say that the best case scenario happens, and that's what Jason Light is going to draft towards, the best case scenario. You have a lot of success in Tampa. Chris Godwin's about to get really expensive, but he's entering his prime. Evans is exiting his prime, but he's still going to be very much there for another 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah.
You could get another stud in the top 50 of this draft, and you could get him on the cheap for 3 or 4 years. Why not do that?
Yeah, it's a loaded draft for receivers, so you're right. You got at least 7, maybe more, really good receivers in this draft.
And if they're all together for 2 seasons, then great. And then when we have to make a decision in 2 years, we'll do it.
The only problem is to what end, I mean, what are you ignoring with that draft pick? You're ignoring other areas of need the second you do that if you take them in the top 50. Because you can presumably get a really valued player at tackle or at another position.
Well, if you go tackle receiver.
No, it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world.
I think you still need a running back. I think you still need, obviously we talk about an offensive lineman. I'd be inclined to draft 2 offensive linemen in this draft. I'm tired of watching us have a marginal offensive line at best. I'd start stockpiling linemen.
I wouldn't be mad at that either.
No, I mean.
But, if you've got a guy, and Light sometimes hits on these, Marpet was obviously a hit in the 3rd round.
It was great, yeah. If you got a guy you really believe in, and you're right, that is, that was probably the most impressive draft pick he made.
Yes. Well, he traded up to do it, too.
I know.
And Seattle wanted his ass.
Yeah, and then we found that out later, and that is impressive.
So it's impressive because that's two picks. Like, so you've almost got the intel. I don't know how he knew it. Maybe he didn't. But you trade up to a place just in front of where somebody's going to take him. Like Josh Freeman, when we traded up to take that guy, ain't nobody going to draft him for another 20, 30 picks.
Nobody cared about him.
Who are you bidding against?
He was
Nobody.
inaccurate in college.
And in this instance,
in that conference,
you're bidding against somebody who's about to take him and has the mother of all tantrums, I'm sure, in their own war room when they say, you've got to be effing kidding me.
Yeah, it's insight into one of the rare moments in which our GM outfoxed an organization that's incredibly well run. There are too few examples in which that occurred. So it's one we can latch onto and celebrate as evidence that he was not a total buffoon. He is a boomer bust GM. That's all it is. He's a boomer bust GM. He's either gotten it really right or really wrong with almost every pick. He's either gotten it really right or really wrong.
Yeah. And he got it both really right and really wrong with Kendall Beckwith.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's injury. There's nothing. I never blame a GM for injury. You know, was Arizona wrong to take Wadsworth? No. Does he end up being, quote, unquote, a bust? Well, depends on how you define bust. I mean, I don't think Kajana Carter and other elite picks around the league in the last 30 years that really amounted to next to nothing are busts if they had a devastating knee injury or shoulder injury and couldn't perform. That's just unlucky. That's football. It happens. But, yeah, that's the Beckwith. We love the Beckwith pick when he took him. I mean, I'm in favor, and I will say this. We get mad narratives surrounding conferences, especially because the SEC likes to tout. They do something similar to folks in politics. They'll tout all the things their guys get right, but they'll willfully ignore the swings and misses or the asinine statements and all that. And you can't do that. You got to look at both, and then look at that on par and decide where you sit. But I am biased towards SEC linebackers, because that is a really physical league that runs the football and has elite talent, period. You can look at number of draft picks and all that. If you're an elite linebacker in the SEC, I like you. I think you're probably going to be pretty good. And it's turned out to be pretty true.
It's not too bad in the ACC either.
It is not, especially in that window of about 5 years where the ACC had emerged right alongside the SEC, especially when it came to defensive draft picks. You're right. I'm not saying that it only exists in the SEC, but if I see a productive linebacker leads the conference in tackles, is, as we saw with Devin White, okay, there's a guy that between the tackles made play after play after play in a conference that has Auburn, Alabama, Mississippi State, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida. A lot of schools that you face in that conference are going to be very physical and come right at you. And if you lead the league in tackles and you're durable and you start for 3 years.
And you run a hell of a 40 on top of it. That's where it's the cherry on top. You go, ooh. Sideline to sideline on top of all what I see in the film.
And there's a thickness to him that you would have to hold up to take on lead blockers to make those plays and to endure 3 years of that brutality as a starter and amass those numbers. Now, I worry usually the wear and tear factor. That comes into play too. But if all the medical tests come back right, and I like the face-to-face, and then you talk about those physical attributes such as, and he's quick at 235, 245, yeah, I'll take my chances. I'm going to get 5 good years out of that dude.
Here's an interesting question for you. If you're an NFL GM, and this is probably a good question if you could ever get an open session with Jason Light, do you look at pitch count for linebackers now that more plays are being run in college? If you are facing, let's say, a series of offenses in your last year, your junior season, because you're going to go early, that like to run between 90 and 100 plays, and you have that many more hits on your body, do you look at it the same way that you look at a running back if you're a GM?
I probably don't, and here's why. I think that if you're facing a team that wants to run 90 plays, that oftentimes they're kind of a finesse team. They're going to throw the ball a lot. If you're trying to run 90 plays, that's usually spread them out wide open.
There's a lot of dive that goes into that.
There is a lot of dive that goes into that, but you don't see too many double tights running down your throat for 90 plays.
Yeah, it's like Gus.
Yeah.
But Gus is there.
Yeah, he's there.
But the physical element, I mean, Clemson does that too. They require you to come up and stop the run.
They do.
Alabama does. I mean, there's a lot of that.
I think every good team does. Anybody who's any good does. Ohio State does.
Okay, so even if it's 80 or 85, it's not the same as it used to be. I just wonder if a pitch count is ever taken into consideration with a linebacker, more than just the tackles, but the amount of plays they're on the field for. Because a running back is looked so heavily at, and that's only if they get 30 carries a game, 25 carries a game, and you say, ooh, I don't know.
Well, if you're the primary back, you're hit on every one of those runs, or the vast majority of them, 85% of the runs that take place in a game, you're getting hit. If you're a linebacker, you're not making 85% of your team's tackles. You're not getting hit on all those plays.
But if you're an elite one, you're making 12 and a half tackles a game, let's just say. It might be 15 in college because of the more plays. But then how many times are you taking on a block to make a play? How many times are you engaging an offensive lineman? How many times are you around the play in full contact, but you don't get credit for the tackle?
Yeah, I always wonder about it, too. I mean, it does matter league to league. I mean, it's not like the Big 12 has a great reputation for getting stops and playing stout defensive football. So I'm not looking at those players. I'm not saying they can't play. Individually, they can play. We know there are plenty of really good players out of the Big 12. But when I look collectively at defenses in that league, we scoff. We laugh at the systems that they face, and they're not very physical. Whereas the SEC, we consider certainly very, very physical. So, yeah, I mean, I would look at it differently.
Well, in the case of a Devin White, yeah, exactly. I'm just saying, why is contact for a running back so much more important than contact for a linebacker? You still need to be pretty much the same athlete.
By the way, back to the Brady conversation for a second. This is an interesting litmus test. Yeah, we're entering into a new era and new ground. Breaking new ground with a 43-year-old quarterback who can still play and is desirable, meaning A, people want him, B, he cares, he's desirous to continue and to focus and to work and to prepare and to try to be great. But I don't think it's going to be that uncommon moving forward. He's the byproduct of the rules changes in the era of the league in which the offenses are protected and quarterbacks in particular are protected. It's why you see a lot of old quarterbacks succeeding. Drew Brees is still succeeding. I may notice some fall off with arm strength, but he's still succeeding. There's no arguing that. You can look around the league. Aaron Rodgers is not young, and he is succeeding at a high level. You look at his numbers this year, they were very, very good. Pretty good. He falls victim because we hold him to his standard.
Correct. But if you look at his QBR, for example, it looks at the entirety of it, he's above average. He's not God like he was.
Yeah, and he ran a new offense this year, and we'll see if they get more comfortable, et cetera. But
he also said, I'm not throwing picks. I'm going to try actively not to throw picks.
Yeah, the game has shifted in that regard. But if you protect these quarterbacks, they're not getting hit all that often. They're not getting hit hard all that often. Guys have to lay up. They can't fall on top of them the way they used to. They can't take the extra step or half step and hit them anymore. The league has made it where if you keep yourself in shape and you're still mentally sharp and you don't lose some of that fast twitch in your release, I think a lot of guys are going to play into their 40s. I think quarterbacks that, if they've got the right work ethic and they have the intelligence, unless they're frail, which most of these guys wouldn't last that long anyhow if they're frail. If you're a big, strong guy, I don't know, man. I think you can play. We look at Brady's body and we think, oh, good Lord, that guy, he looks like everyday Joe walking in the mall. Mm-hmm. He is 233 pounds.
Yeah.
He's not like, what I was going to say.
Did you hear the one thing he said about water intake yesterday?
Mm-mm.
He drinks hundreds of ounces of water a day. It's like, that's the first time in that interview where I looked at the synopsis of it. I go, oh, God. Here we go. Hundreds of ounces, Tom. Would you have functioning kidneys if you drink hundreds of ounces of water a day?
Well, I was just thinking about it now that you said it. Hundreds, implying 200, 300, and 400 ounces of water. That would be bizarre. I don't know what a doctor would tell you.
One of the reporters says, I call BS. He hasn't left to go to the bathroom during this whole interview if he's drinking hundreds of ounces of water a day.
Yeah, I start every morning. Speaking of water intake, because I'm terrible at it, because I need to monitor water intake the other way, because I don't do enough of it, I drink tons of in my hand right now, this giant, I don't know, how many ounces do you think that is?
20 maybe?
20 ounces. It's an East Tennessee State coffee mug.
Looks like more than a pint.
Yeah.
Which I could go for right now.
I really enjoy this coffee mug that some listeners sent me.
Fancy a pint?
It's a nice Etsu coffee mug. It's my favorite coffee mug, along with my Pirates and my Seminoles coffee mug. I have those three that I drink the most out of. And so that's 20 ounces every morning. I'll probably have a second glass, maybe not another 20-ounce glass, but at least another 12 ounces. So probably 32 ounces of coffee a day. Seems excessive. to counteract that, obviously, I need to be drinking a lot of water. I'll start each morning, every morning, religiously. I get up, I start the coffee. While I'm waiting for the coffee to brew, I take a 32-ounce cup that I have, I fill it to the top, and I drink that. I just down it, gun it. That's how I start every day.
Is it a Gordo's cup?
I have a Gordo's cup. I use one of those. I have multiple cups that I use throughout the week.
The best cups, many
yes,
cups.
Many cups. I drink those. I drink that. I try to remember to do it first thing when I get home in the evenings. So if I get home at 6:30, let's say, I'll just go to the sink, same thing, hammer one of those. So we're at 64 ounces there. If I'm working out on the regular, say going to Orange Theory when the world is normal and we're all in our routine, obviously I'm pounding water before and after those workouts just to get rehydrated because I'm sweating my ass off. So I would probably say that if I'm optimizing water intake and eating properly and exercising and counteracting the coffee, caffeine intake and all that and the beer, yeah, I think I'd probably drink well over 100 ounces of water in a day.
And that's pushing it, though.
That's being mindful. Mm-hmm. I don't know how one drinks. Yeah, because what do they say? 12-ounce cups or 8-ounce cups of water?
That's the old, that's the old
64
standby, 64
ounces,
ounces a day or whatever.
I don't know. Yeah, hundreds of ounces.
Every 5 years, there's a different
they
popular science study.
You know what I do? I gauge by whether or not I cramp up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get calf cramps when I sleep if I'm dehydrated. I get cramps. I'll get cramps if you and I go play golf. And I haven't had enough water. I've had 2 big cups of coffee. Maybe you and I have a beer or 2, maybe even 3 on the golf course.
Even 2 per night is pretty nice, but it's hot outside.
Yeah.
That's like the right
Yeah,
number.
you don't need a ton, right? Yeah, and we're not out, we're trying to score, so we're not out there getting hammered.
Well,
I mean, there are days, but for the most part, we're out there trying to score.
Oh, I agree. But if it's ugly for the first 3 or 4 holes,
then maybe you drink a few more beers. Yeah,
it's 3 for the 9.
But let's just say you have 4 beers total in 18 holes. Okay. I'm mindful of that, but I don't always follow through. Like get home and go, I need to pound some water here tonight. And if I don't, I'm waking up 3 o'clock in the morning with a calf cramp. It's just gonna happen, and that's my body going, hey man, we gonna do the right thing around here?
Yeah,
drink a little bit of water every now and again. That's all. I'm not reading about I need 170 ounces of water or 80. My body will tell me.
Of course. Yeah, you're listening to your body. Now, there is alkalinity in the TB12 method that you could be paying attention to. But honestly, think about all the work you have to do on the day you hydrate the most. And you get to maybe 120 ounces? Maybe? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe 100 and maybe 160 ounces.
160?
150 ounces.
So you're having 5 Gordo's cups worth of water.
You said when I'm at my most extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
He's implying that he does double that.
More than that.
Double that. Hundreds. It's not just 200. He didn't say 200 a day. He says hundreds a day.
I really don't care if he drinks 400 ounces of water or 10, so long as he's motivated to kick ass, work hard, and get his team to the Super Bowl, Tom. That's all I'm worried about.
I agree. The thing you're going to have to put up with him, it's like Bruce and dumbass decisions on, challenges.
Challenges.
Hopefully Tom picks
management.
up the flag and throws it back in his face in game 1.
Well,
flips
just
him off.
clock management. Tom understands clock management. He's not a dumbass. Let's let Tom decide what we need to be doing here.
But with a challenge flag, he takes it away. He's just going to take it out of Bruce's sock and say, this is mine now. I challenge plays, not you. You listen to me. I will hand you the challenge flag, and then you could throw it on the field. But the thing we're going to have to put up with Tom is the crazy alkalinity TB12 method stuff. Those articles are coming. Once these guys are allowed to work together, they're gonna build a facility for him.
Yeah,
he's gonna have his guy build a facility, and Godwin's gonna be talking about, wow, I love this place, while he smiles at the camera. That is coming.
Buccaneers former quarterback got married. We didn't mention that a couple days ago. Congratulations to Jameis Winston and Breezy Boo, whom I watched him call Breezy Boo in front of me when we were at the draft, and I thought it was just the funniest thing in the world because I thought it's the cutest nickname, and he calls her Breezy Boo.
She looked adorable on draft night, too, because she had the hat on when he was doing his press conference. It was just it was like a supportive moment. You're like, oh, that's great. It's good to see.
Oh, I'm happy for the couple. She's a beautiful woman. And I don't know her. I've said 5 words to her in my life, but they've been together a long time. Now they're hitched.
Like 6 years? Yeah.
Well, they were
Maybe
high school.
7?
Well, they were high school.
they were high school?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were college.
No,
Okay.
they were high school sweethearts. They go back. So, and she was an athlete, a really good one.
Yeah, basketball player,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, really good one. So they go back. That's a long time ago. Jeez, time flies. Think about it. They're now 8, 9, 10 years together.
That's when you talk about the relative success of the football program, you're like, man, we're pushing 10 years.
Well,
we're closing in on a
that's funny you
decade
bring
here.
that up because the same thing is happening right now, and we'll talk about it next. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men on a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Report for the heart of our community today. This message brought to you in part by your local Tallahassee radio broadcasters.
Who's ready for the best wings in Tally and locally brewed beers? Hobbit American Grill is the place to be. They've been voted Tally's best wings again in 2018. Hobbit offers Bingo Mondays, happy hour all day Fridays with craft beers on tap from all the local breweries. And the Hobbit is your home for all the UFC fights with plenty of high-def TVs for everyone. Be on the lookout for the food truck coming soon with the best lip-smacking wings in town. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving great food to great friends for good times. For info on their hours and 3 locations, visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Tallahassee's tastiest jumbo wings are back in force. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill is now open daily from 4 to 9 p.m. for all your takeout needs. Enjoy an all-day, everyday special of 10 wings and a basket of fries for just $10. Plus, have the Corner Pocket make you a signature to-go beer or liquor beverage as well. Red Russians, anybody? Just call 574-2724 for your wing order today. That's 574-2724 for the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Or to stop by and order in person, please use the outdoor deck. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachian Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Hi, I'm Jeff, founder of Which Superior Sandwiches, and I'm here to tell you about our signature Which, the Wicked. Why call it the Wicked? Some say it's wicked tasty, some say it's wicked large. One thing's for sure, with oven-roasted turkey, ham, pepperoni, roast beef, and bacon, as well as your choice of 3 cheeses, it definitely takes you from wicked hungry to wicked happy in just a few wicked good bites. Only at Which Superior Sandwiches.
On Wednesday, the Wicked is just $5. 5 meats, 3 cheeses, $5.
Golic and Wingo.
Dabo got the response that the establishment gets now. Like, he used to be the mom and pop shop where it was Clemsoning before, and they were the ones rising up to challenge Alabama because, again, what he said is not, like, objectively offensive, right? It's a college football coach, and you heard him say at the beginning, my preference would be. Like, clearly, so he was asked, what would be your preference as far as this? And, of course, he hopes that college football is being played. I think what everyone wants in an ideal world is all optimism to be measured enough to say, listen, we hope and we're planning on doing this as is, but we understand we're adjusting every day. People, I think, want that concession built in. And so when it's not, a lot of people interpret that as you being willfully ignorant, of saying you're not realizing what's at stake in this situation, when this just seems to be that same brand of like unbridled optimism that's sort of been the hallmark of the Dabo Swinney era in Clemson, right?
Golic and Wingo, weekdays at 6 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Seminole headlines.
Kenny Chesney did go to East Tennessee State.
No kidding.
I'm all over it, buddy.
Studied advertising.
Look at me.
Was there in 1990. That's when he graduated.
Okay, obviously his life is good. Sitting on the porch or sitting on the beach, like when he's 70. I mean, is he gonna look back and be proud of like
You talking about
Of
Kenny
his
Chesney?
music?
Yeah, his musical career, like what the music, the art he brought to the world.
So you think he'll feel guilty
No, I'm
for
just asking.
stealing Jimmy Buffett's thing?
I'm just asking,
and then
putting a twang to
mimicking it.
But my
Yeah.
question, I'm not saying it's.
I don't think he'll
but
feel
like,
that
will
guilty.
there
No.
be a pride? I'm not saying guilty, but like, will he be filled with pride? Like,
Not the way a
I
real
think,
artist
I think Van
does.
Morrison or
Yeah, all right, good.
they're like feeling good about what
I
they
contributed to
society.
humanity.
Yes.
I did something that elevated us as a species.
Like, I'm wondering.
No,
if
Kenny
a guy-
Chesney cannot say
But I'm
that.
wondering if he thinks he did. Is what I'm asking.
I hope not.
I
Like, if
wanna
Jimmy
know-
Buffett knew he was garbage and just admitted it
Catchy tunes.
and was like, I have a knack for writing these things.
I put the
and
theme music to
creating-
parties for
Yeah. I that's what I do.
white people.
I'm not writing anything of any significance, but I did. I created
They're
an
fun
element that
songs.
people. Yeah, they're
So
fun
have
songs.
fun time.
There's a place for that. There's nothing wrong with that.
If he, as long as he accepts that and
Correct.
he knows that.
As long as he doesn't think he's Bob Dylan, then I'm
Exactly.
fine.
That's- and I feel like Jimmy Buffett does. I wonder
I
about
think he
Kenny
does
Chesney.
too.
Is he my tractor sexy guy?
I have no idea.
I think he's the.
He's a Pepsi commercial.
Don't act like you
They're
don't know.
all Pepsi commercials.
It was Kenny Chesney with "She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy."
So, do you think when he pinned that he thought?
Did he even write it?
Probably not. But do you think that if he wrote it, he thought,
Holy
"This is right
moly.
up there"?
He did not. He
Blowing
did not,
in the wind.
He did not write
He
it.
did not write it.
Yeah.
No. But he put his personal touch to it.
I'm sure. The one that he stole from
It's
Jimmy
the 20th
Buffett.
anniversary of that tune, that Fine Ditty.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, you knew
1999.
that, Jeff. We were just talking about it the other day at lunch.
I was like, can you believe it's been 20 years since the
my
masterpiece
sexy tractor.
She thinks
I
my
remember like it
tractor's
was
sexy.
yesterday.
Whatever it is.
She thinks my tractor's sexy. It
Once
really
a week, I
turns
go
me
into a
on.
dark
Or
room
it really
and I
turns her
sit
on.
back and listen to the lyrics of that classic.
Yeah.
She's always staring
That's like
at
the
me
blowing in the wind of the
Yeah.
90s.
when
Yeah.
I'm chugging along.
Yeah.
It's like The Weight.
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like
the
The
weight.
Weight. Yeah, it's a lot like that.
Tuesday night on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to the program. Relaxing a little bit. Kicking around some serious, some not so serious, mostly not so serious talking points, which is what we're left to do these days. But it's okay. It's all right. I like doing it. We were talking about the separation from peak success, the years that go by and how quickly it happens. And we did a moment ago, you referenced, we're closing in on now 8 years from the 2013 National Championship. And, you know, we're at that place now where I began to get froggy with the Bucks. It was about 2010, 2011, somewhere in there after the Super Bowl championship in 2002 that I was like, okay, enough time's passed that we can get our act together here again. We don't have to just suck every year while we ride the wave of a Super Bowl championship. Like those first 5 years, I'm not going to lie. After we won the Super Bowl in 2002, I didn't really care what happened. I mean, I cared, but I really wasn't that upset when things didn't work out in our favor in 03, 04, 05, 06, 07. I'm saying, that's all right. We won the Super Bowl. We're okay. You get to ride that for a while.
Yeah, we had made the playoffs in 06, and it's
Yeah.
just you get a little bit unlucky against Washington in the first round. And,
Yeah.
Then 08, you go play the Giants. Then 09, there was the rebuild season.
Yeah, that's right.
And you start 9-3, and you think, okay,
All right.
we have turned the page.
You lose 4 straight, they fire the coach, and what in the hell just happened?
After extending him.
Yeah, there you go. So all that happened. But the point would be there's a grace period. You get a good 5, sometimes even 8 years amongst fans if you achieve the ultimate in your sport. You get to the mountaintop, you cash in the chips, you win it all. All right, got it. That's why what's happened in Jacksonville is so devastating for Jaguar fans. They were that close. We all know. They were a quarterback away from winning the Super Bowl. They really were. That defense was unreal, and they were all locked in. They all believed. They should have beat the Patriots. They would have gone on and won the Super Bowl. But they didn't. And they didn't have a quarterback. And they did lose. And they couldn't make plays. And they didn't trust him in the second half. And because they didn't win the ultimate prize, and now it's in shambles. They're a mess. Their window's shut. They didn't get to do it.
That was such a crazy game because he was playing okay, and they were still calling the game away from him. And it's like, it's okay. You can give him a little bit.
They
just
called
a little
the game
bit.
completely away from him in the second half.
Yeah.
They knew.
And he didn't do anything wrong.
They knew who he was, Tom. They knew what was going to go on.
Well, you're Kirk Cousins until you make the throw in New Orleans.
Well, Cousins has shown a much greater upside than he ever did. Let's say that. Cousins had some moments.
You can't give me a couple of screens or a quick,
I mean, they did
10-yard hitches.
They did do that. But then New England realized you're not going to throw the ball downfield. You're not going to make him make any real throws. Okay, well, we're going to take that away.
It will be open if he hits one. It's not going to be picked unless he underthrows it by 20 yards.
Bottom line is their weakest position on the field was quarterback, and they couldn't win with the guy they had, and it cost them dearly because they were great everywhere else. And so the window slams shut, and they're screwed, and they're nowhere close to winning a Super Bowl, and their dream shattered. And many of the pieces of the puzzle gone. You'll live with all of the collapse that invariably hits franchises who had to invest in the run. You know, you say, okay, we're going to pay a little too much for this guy and a little too much for this guy, and this guy's long in the tooth, but we need him because next year he's still going to be great at what he does for us. I think we can win a Super Bowl. Let's put the chips to the middle of the table and see if we can get it done. And you better get it done. You better get it done. Because if you do, you're good. Grace period. 5, 6, maybe 7 years where fans are like, whatever, we won the Super Bowl. We hoisted the Lombardi. Doesn't matter. We did it. It's over. We got it. It happened. Now, you know, that begins to wear off, and you begin to look at your administration, you begin to look at your organization differently, and that's where we're entering that period with Florida State. And it's not, I mean, we already had the come-to-Jesus moments with Jimbo and then later Willie, so we've had to stop, start as the years have gone on since 13. But the anxiousness, the uneasiness, the feeling of loathing and frustration, all of that begins to hit you a little bit harder when you get to around 8, 9, 10 years without having any real significant success. Doesn't always have to be a championship, especially if you've garnered 1, 2, in our case 3. I mean, the Knowles. But it has to resemble something of an elite product at some point here. And I think because of the transformation of the football program in the 80s to the 90s into the 2000s, because of the records set, the excessive amount of winning, the 14 consecutive years in the top 4, the national championships, the All-Americans, the Hall of Famers. This is a program that you can't go, and there are other programs like this. You can't go do what Nebraska's done, which has become obsolete. The transition here is so angst-ridden right now. We're at that uneasy period. It's 2020, and we don't know if there's going to be a football season, so that's one reason we're anxious. But 2013 is starting to look like it's well back in that rear view.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we looked a lot different in all the photos. I'm not just talking to you and me. Everybody who took photos who was at that game or from their watch parties or they did selfies or whatever that night.
Oh, yeah.
We look a little bit different now, don't we?
Well, you realize it when you go back through your photos, which I've been doing a lot lately, and I've got tons of photos from the National Championship week from out there in California, some of which I haven't seen since we were out there, but I'm organizing my photos because I got a lot of time on my hands. So anyhow, I'm doing that, and I'm finding great photos of us, and I'm finding great moments from out there in California. Of that 2-year stretch, really. And, yeah, you're right. I'm looking at that going, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
A lot has happened since then. We need to get it together. Let's go. I'm not saying you got to win a national championship. Be nice. I'd love to win a 4th, a 5th, 6th, 20th. Sure. But we got to start putting ourselves in a position to be in a conversation that is sensible surrounding the college football playoff.
Yeah, we've got to be a program again. I'd say 2015, you know me, I really like that defense. I thought it was good enough to, make the playoff and maybe scare a title if you had a semblance of, overall offensive play. That was the last echo of the program. You still had multiple players at multiple positions that were good. 2016 begins the realm and the time in which we are about players. We're a college football team that has a few elite players, but you're not a program anymore. And that's what it's been ever since. You might have a player here or there, but you're not a program. So we've got to be a football program again.
Let's touch on that to start the 5 o'clock hour. That's coming up next. Final hour. Stay with us, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Hey, everybody, it's good news, and we could use some good news right about now. Getting family dinners to go with curbside pickup at Bumpa's, well, it's easy to do, and it's all day, every day. You're going to want to pay with a credit card, bring your own PIN to sign the receipt, and they want to thank you, so do I, for supporting your local restaurants when they need it most. By the way, if you call, it's 850-999-8652. And here's Rick Pitino to give you the menu items.
Pasta alla vodka. You get chicken, garlic bread, and it's a nice round price. Secondly, you got 20 wings. You got chicken fingers too, fries, onion rings on the side. Nice, also good for the family of 4. 2 racks of ribs with mac and cheese and broccoli. You could sub in some fries or rings if you want instead too, but those racks of ribs, absolutely delicious. Just beautiful.
Or you can order, Rick, from their regular menu. It's Bumpus349.com.
The whole shebang.
All of us at Jerry's Cigar Shop hope you stay safe during this chaotic coronavirus crisis. While the lounge is still closed, you can call us to place your order, send an email, or order online at jerrycigarshop.com. And be sure to ask about free shipping directly to your home. Support of local small businesses here in Tallahassee is so important right now. So Jerry's Cigar Shop is giving 20% of all Regina cigar sales to local food banks to help those financially impacted by this virus. From all of us at Jerry's famous cigar shops, our prayer is that we all come through this together and even stronger.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Wind. It can really blow up your day. There goes your favorite hat. Even worse is what wind does to your wiper blades. Lifts them right off the windshield. Good luck seeing now. But not if you have Trico Onyx beam blades that slice through wind, with a patented spoiler that converts wind force into maximum windshield contact, so you can see clearly and drive safely. Sadly, they can't prevent what the wind did to your hair. Pick up a pair of Trico Onyx wiper blades today and get $10 off instantly, exclusively at Advance Auto Parts.
Come visit the new and exciting Hangar 38. This amazing place is for everyone listening right now. Practice your bowling skills, compete, and have fun. Whether you're a newbie, an all-star, or a beer frame champion, no matter how you roll, you'll find the best place to bowl is at Hangar 38. Hangar 38 is home to over 75 arcade games, so they're sure to have something for everyone. Zeppelin's at Hangar 38 is a premier full-service restaurant and sports bar, and it's also your place for birthday parties and company outings. Tallahassee, what are you waiting for? Come on out to Zeppelin's Hangar 38, 6668 Thomasville Road behind Walgreens.
The Starlight Lounge presents An Evening with the Progressive Box.
Oh, what a great audience. Let's dim the lights for this next one. Nope, too much. There it is. Gotta get things just right. Like Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Tell us what you want to pay and we help you find coverage options that fit your budget. And now, the mood is right. Wait, the lights are back on again. Trudy, can you? And now it's completely dark.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio. WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. I thought today, a lot of people have done this, but I just had it happen to me. I guess maybe we've had the requisite amount of time away from the ordinary that it's affecting us, many of us simultaneously. I thought today was Wednesday. I was certain we were doing the show and it was Wednesday. I don't know why.
Well, that's a bonus.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we go careening towards a weekend that is much of the same, much more of the same. You don't do the show on those days, but
I like the weekends, though. As they're
Still?
comprised now, it's not like I like it more than beforehand,
No.
don't get me wrong.
No, I liked earning the weekends more.
But we've got some things laid out that are fun, and we're making the most of it. And so I do look forward to these different activities.
What are you doing?
Well, there's a period of the day in which I watch a classic sporting event I've never seen.
Okay.
That's the Saturday thing that I do. On Friday, the happy hour circuit is in full force.
Nice. I like that.
And I like a couple of them. We've developed a couple.
Yeah.
There may be one on Saturday as well. There was one last week that I really enjoyed.
Okay.
So those two things are good. The cleaning that gets done on the weekend is responsible. And then for us, we have a tradition because
more tacos?
Well, beyond more tacos. That's tonight. Third night of the week.
I could have guessed.
Yeah. Masters Sunday was when my fiance moved in with me. So sorry to all you folks out there that says living in sin, but that's what we commemorate.
Nobody says that anymore.
They do, yes. But Master Sunday is
Sheltered Lives.
It's the third annual or fourth annual now, Master Sunday. So we're going to go back and watch the 2001 final round, which included Tiger versus Duval versus Els. I think Phil was involved in it as well. I think we all know who wins, but it's just an awesome Sunday in which you get what we always yearn for, which is all of the best playing at a really high level at the same time.
Yeah, I had fun. They were watching, they were showing highlights from 18. And I was like, oh, let's see if I can see myself. I was having some fun watching. Golf Channel's doing a real good job of going back and showing final rounds of not just the Masters. They did the Masters this week, obviously.
Yep.
But other weeks I've been watching any number of tournaments, some of which I didn't see nearly as much from, whether it's the World Golf Championships and that kind of stuff. That's good stuff.
So last night they had the par 3 on, which it's fun and it's ha-ha, rah-rah kind of stuff, but it was when Jack's grandson
that's the one, that's the famous.
hit the hole-in-one.
Yeah, I talked to him that year.
Okay.
That grandson.
GT?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, but you want to throw up in a barf bag. They just stay on it for 25 straight minutes. They keep showing it, and it's just it's Tom Rinaldi being fake in front of all those guys, interviewing them. You're like, woo, this is a tough watch. If this were any other time in our history of sports consumption, I would have been off this thing. But I just want to see Augusta, even if it's from the past.
The beauty of Augusta.
I got to see that green color that I miss so dearly.
Yeah, I've missed the Masters this week. I've missed Tiger having the ability to come back and defend his title, which he is on the record of saying he would have most certainly had the opportunity to do because his health is in real good shape. I'll get to that. That's important. Fascinating, that situation with Tiger. But he says he would have been rearing to go, ready to go. Feels great. Has been playing a lot of golf, and is ready to play. And damn it, that makes me kind of even more sad that we didn't get it because he's ready to go. And that's a course where if he's right and he can swing the club, that's going to be him and Brooks and whomever. That's going to be a good ending. It's going to, man, disappointing. At the end of the last hour, by the way, we're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. If you missed portions of the show, we're still putting it up on iTunes. You can go and listen. I ask that you, if you like the show, rate and review it and share it. It helps others find it. That's what they tell me. Of course, they also tell me to tell you 5 stars, but you do whatever you're going to do. And then on Twitter, it's @JCameronShow. Also, we're putting it on YouTube, but the show itself is just the audio on YouTube. It's not the video because, again, skeleton crew here. By that, I mean it's me and Tom. So, having said that, you mentioned that we have to resemble something of a program again, that we haven't really been a program. There was the echo of the program, the last gasp, if you will, of a program that once was and that was fading at the time. We couldn't have known just how quickly the fade to black would occur in 2015. That's it. That's the last remnants of a once proud and dominant program.
You're not the better team, but you're in the game in the fourth quarter with Clemson on the road that year.
Yeah, you are. That's right. And so there you go. That's it. After that, it's the unraveling has taken place. The inevitable crash into the side of the mountain becomes more and more evident. I remember beginning to sound some of the alarms and concerns. I think I was also worried that maybe I was overstating some of my concerns regarding Jimbo, because if you recall, I didn't know that he was going to sell his soul and turn his back on an entire program and shirk his responsibilities and suffer from a dereliction of duty. But I did have grave concerns that he was no longer the coach that was locked in that led us to 2013, but rather an embittered, angry, often at times seemingly indifferent man. And that was revealed in conversations that I had with him, off-the-record interviews, conversations before interviews. And it used to bother you to some extent, Tom, because I'd say, I don't know, man, the further we get removed from Jameis, I kept bringing that up. And listen, I understood your counterpoint, and I know why you hated that narrative. But also I know that by 2017, you're saying, yeah, it's looking that way. It's looking that way. It doesn't have to be, but it's looking that way.
Yeah, his loyalty to Staff 2.0 was his downfall, among many other things. But that's a huge one. Not wanting to move forward and go get some younger blood. Because the university wasn't willing to cut him a blank check, he said, well, then we're going to keep the guys we have, as though they're the best in the business. Yeah, no.
Also,
he didn't even when he had a chance to take any of them.
No, he didn't.
He took Damian, and that was from a different gig.
No, he also, we can't underscore how important it was that he had Monk. And then Monk fell ill, and things begin to change. And eventually, obviously, sadly, he passes away, and it was irretrievable at that point. Everything was gone. The lifeline, the guy I think that could have salvaged all of it passed away. And once that happened, it was inevitable. So we arrive at this place now where we're, musical chairs. You lose a coach, you bring in a new one. 2 years later, he's gone. And now you bring in a new one. I think what's upsetting about this is that we've put a governor on our rise. I believe the rise is inevitable because I think the right guy has been hired. Now, it's absolutely fair for any of you to look back and say, you said the same thing about Willie. I did. I was wrong. Having acknowledged that I was wrong doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to be wrong or right about this guy. It's a different situation. But I'm seeing enough evidence early in the process that we have a highly motivated, intensely focused, well-organized individual who has surrounded himself with like-minded folk who are all pulling in the right direction and taking that responsibility as serious as you would hope one does for the money that they make. And so the point would be, I think we were well on our way. And then this happened. I'll have to reach out to our friend David Hale, maybe have him on tomorrow on the program. I allude to this article that he wrote today, how a lost spring football season will be felt across the country. It's a lengthy article. You guys can read it for yourself. But something that is pointed out in here, and I think correctly so, and it got me thinking more about a subject we've already touched on this week, Tom, and that is that everybody's not in the same boat. If you are a new coach with a new staff seeking to ingrain and engender a certain kind of mindset and culture, you are at a severe disadvantage compared to those that already have it in place and have had some form of it in place for the better part of 10 years. If you've got veteran players running a system that they already understand and are coming back to, there's no, obviously, reteaching and retooling. This was all just getting underway for our new coaching staff. I'll tell you, in that article, it points out Baylor's got it even worse. I mean, they hired a new head coach and a new offensive coordinator, Larry Fedora, whom I never would have hired. But nonetheless, that is not an easy offense to install. It's a very different offense. And they didn't even have a practice. Not one. They hadn't even started.
Oh, boy.
They're screwed. They got nothing. They're effed. Now, I'm not concerned with Baylor. Screw them. I hope they go 1-11. Who cares? But we have some similar concerns here. And we're behind the 8 ball. And listen, that's selfish as hell. Here you go. Caveat, yet again, understanding there are more important things than sports. There you go. Said it. Back to the sports. Damn it, man. This is a terrible set of circumstances that the new coaching staff has to inherit, handle, and overcome. And some of these things, certainly I think they will overcome because of the aforementioned focus, intensity, and organization. But some, there is no getting around the day-to-day work that is needed to instill the changes and to bring about the changes. And they're not getting to do that. And they're not going to get to do that. They're going to make up in some capacity workouts, practices, but nothing close to what they would have had.
No, I think Nick Saban posited the idea that maybe 7-on-7 practices should be granted in excess, of what the fall camp would look like. But what do you do with the linemen at that point would be my question.
And
like, that's great for skill guys.
To really get our alignment.
It would help,
good working
obviously,
order.
Quarterbacks and skill players to understand the side adjust and the rules of the offense. So it's something. I'm not saying let's do nothing instead of doing something, but, it would be obviously better if we could get shells or full pad practices.
Can you imagine, though, Tom, being Dave Aranda and Larry Fedora? Dave Aranda's the new coach at Baylor. Imagine being him and Larry Fedora, like, I'm trying to change a mindset. I'm trying to install an offense. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, you can't have them do the voluntary workouts. You're not allowed to assemble.
No.
So it's not like they could even go to a practice field or an IM field and do it on their own.
And your players right now, this is the hard part. A big part of the transformation that occurs involving the culture shift as well as the physical transformation is what happens in the weight room, is what happens when you're together, when you are disciplined on a singular goal that is shared and agreed upon and sacrificed to that end. So it is the getting up at 5 a.m., which means you go to bed early and you're not the normal college student out and about. So you sacrifice the fun. Now, that's a given when you accept that scholarship and you go away, that you're going to have to sacrifice an awful lot of your collegiate experience. It's not going to be the same as the general population, if you will, for lack of a better term, the general student body. But that's okay. That's fine. There are perks to what you do as well. One of those is obviously nutrition and eating whenever you want, and and that being closely governed and having access to the greatest of equipment to work out and change and reshape your body as well as your mind. None of that is happening now. None of that is happening. Not everybody has access to the right equipment or the same equipment, and so you're having to piecemeal this thing together. And I don't know. It's impossible to gauge just how far back the program was set by this set of circumstances that nobody could control, but damn it, man.
Well, I go back to a discussion that you and Trey had, and Coach Trey Jones for the golf program. I hope this isn't betraying any confidence, but I believe he said it on the air. If not, I apologize. But it's something to the degree of when this is all getting shut down. So this is the week of the ACC tournament, and we're about to tip off, and we're taking warm-ups, then boom, it gets shut down, and we're having this talk in real time, figuring out the consequences. And spring break is coming up for all of the other athletes. And what Trey was told was, listen, they can't come back to campus if they leave campus. So at least on the fly, it was like plan 1.0 before, you get the further instruction from the government and all of the CDC and other agencies. The idea being, if you leave, you can't come back. The hard part is, I think a lot of these coaches would say, if in the future, if we run into something like this again, we've got to have a plan where we can keep these kids on campus and keep getting them fed. They can't go home, and that's terrible, but at least we can keep them getting their meals, the nutrition the way we want it. We can monitor them when it comes to their academics.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we have to go into their dorm room with them. We've got to spread them out over campus and assign them to different dorms so that they're, abiding by the guidelines. But then we're just making sure that the essentials happen, that they get the extensive tutoring that they need, even if it's in a virtual setting. We know where they are physically in the world, and we know that they're getting the food they need to get in order to be the best version of themselves. But you just couldn't know that in real time, and that's what sucks. So we sent them home. They can't come back.
This is an awful situation for more than just athletes, and I want people to understand that we are aware of that. And, I have a great empathy for parents right now of children of all ages. I'm a parent myself with a 12-year-old boy and a 9-year-old boy. They're built very differently. My 12-year-old boy craves school, loves it, wishes it was year-round. he would never say this, but I can tell. He's a social butterfly. He loves the interaction. He's just now in middle school, and this is a time where we all remember what it was like. That was your life, man. Being around those friends, those groups, it meant everything. The interactions, the first time you kind of think you might like a girl, or if you're a girl, a boy, whatever it might be, or whatever the same. Doesn't matter. That you're kind of starting to learn who you are and what you value. You have shared passions and things that you recognize that you want to be involved in, others that you don't. All this stuff is happening, and you're comparing and contrasting notes in these in-depth conversations that you have on a daily basis at your middle school with your friends. And there's real confusion and turmoil in all of this. And this has all now suddenly been grinded to a screeching halt, and you're told, yeah, get online and read the lesson plan and try to do that and make sure you send it off to your science teacher or whatever it might be. And they're struggling with that. It's one thing to ask a college student or a working professional to shift gears and do whatever it is they do online. It's a whole nother to ask a middle school kid or an elementary school kid. And it's also a whole nother set of circumstances for kids even younger than that. And you're being asked to work and you've got a 5-year-old at home. I get all of that.
What about their meals?
Correct. And that's devastating. And my wife works in the school system, and I get a glimpse from her Zoom meetings that I can overhear because we're all in Zoom meetings these days. There are real sad stories out there. There are sets of circumstances that are devastating, and I don't want to go down that road because it really is enough to break your heart. But there are students whose parents or maybe guardians are struggling. They lost their job, or they have health concerns, and they don't have access to technology in the way that kids who are a little bit more privileged do. So maybe a kid lives at home and he doesn't have a computer. And maybe those who look after him are out of a job or falling ill themselves, whatever it might be. And it's devastating. If you extrapolate that out and you think of less dire circumstances, but still very disconcerting ones, you can only imagine how many of these kids in these programs got sent home, or they went home to places in which they're impoverished. They whether that's a rural community or the inner city, whatever it might be, and they don't have as much. Their families don't have as much. They don't have a computer, or they don't have a means by which to connect to their coaches and fellow teammates and all of that via maybe the cell phone. You got that perhaps. But, man, the diet shifts dramatically.
Right, yeah, you're consuming, 3,000-4,000 calories a day if you're working out as much as we are?
And the ability to work out, period. Gyms are closed. Where are they going to work out?
Oh, you've seen viral videos around the country of dudes, like, putting their cars in neutral and pushing them up and down a hill and stuff like that.
It's like, what do? You grabbing milk cartons? This is very, very difficult. And so I say all of that to say this. We know that to varying degrees, this impacts all. But if you're solely looking at Florida State's football program, and the central theme often in this show, of course, is Florida State. So if we bring it back home for a second, you have a new coaching staff. You have a coaching staff that is learning to work together, many of whom have worked together before, but not all simultaneously. So you have guys that may know each other, guys that have worked with Coach Norvell, but not all of them were on the same staff at the same time, implementing all of these things in lockstep together and learning how this guy coaches, how this guy coaches, how this guy teaches, the way this man explains the principles or the concepts of the offense. And I have to have an understanding of what he does, or he has to have an understanding, if I'm the head coach, of what I want and how I want it taught and why. And there is obviously a set of principles and organized steps that we take in order to accomplish this. And that's what spring was going to be about. They were going to learn at the same time we were learning each other. And they were also going to change their minds and their bodies and hopefully the way they feel about one another. And all that gets put on hold. You can't make all that up overnight. Those kids come back. What have they been doing? Have they been running every day? Have they been lifting every day? Have they been eating the right ways? Have they held on to what it was you did have a chance to teach? How much of that were they still going over? How disciplined were they? It's much easier when you have control of what they see, hear, what they do. You don't have that now. And I think that's where programs like Clemson, who got 9 practices in, and a program that has largely held on to the personnel that's made them elite anyhow, including people who have no business returning to school like Travis Etienne and others. That system is that system. Yes, they lost Scott, but they still retained, by and large, almost everybody that was already there. They're hungry because they just lost the national championship. They've got their quarterback back. They've got most of their star players back. Damn it, man. That's a huge advantage. Okay, fine, we weren't going to beat Clemson anyhow. But programs like that, whether they're Clemson or a middling program that has had the same coach for 4 and 5 years and has instilled the principles that they follow on a daily basis, have a huge advantage over a Florida State with a new head coach, a new coaching staff, and obviously competition at each position and hopefully, obviously, an uptick in overall talent. But
well,
yeah, I mean,
the one thing I look at is I don't know, are some programs in a better boat than others? Were they more prepared for this in sending kids home? And I don't know what more you can do than offer them the stipend for their meals. I really don't. But maybe there's some infrastructure things. They send them home with a set of weights. Are you allowed to do that? Would that be against NCAA guidelines? I know that there was something I read a couple of weeks ago, I think it was on War Chant, that hinted at conferences can send weight training equipment now to players.
Well, I know that conferences or universities were allowed if they have the
universities,
budget.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew that universities were allowed if they had the budget in some cases, especially if they're able to show a kid in need from an educational standpoint. You can send home a computer. You can give them a computer to use in some cases.
But I guess the point I'm driving home at is you're absolutely right if you're talking about culture and scheme.
Oh, it's terrible.
And philosophy of a program.
That's a very big deal.
It is a big deal. But I would say about training, every program's in about the same boat. Where the difference lies is in consistency of scheme and philosophy and knowing those things and mastering the mental part of the game. But if you're talking about relatively, how does Clemson and Florida State compare in terms of how they work out? They're all in the same boat, I would think, on the whole.
Except for their strength coach has been in place for some time, and the values and the mindset and the methodology has been entrenched for years, whereas we have a brand new strength coach.
But I think there's some good new car smell on this coach because a lot of the players had already been just raving about their gains and their losses. They're seeing the difference that they hadn't seen in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. I'm
not discounting what you're saying. Just from a training standpoint, these are hurdles that I think are felt pretty consistently across the board.
Well, hopefully that's just one area in which we're not falling further behind, but there are still several others in which we are. And so I am gravely concerned that we have been certainly hampered to a greater degree than our counterparts because we're one of the however many schools made a coaching change in the offseason. Was it 12 or 9? I can't remember. But whatever the number is, we fall in an especially unique group, which is, hey, listen, it was necessary and the changes were made and we were all in favor of it, or a lot of us were in favor of it, and it happened, and that's great. And I think long-term it's still going to greatly benefit this program, and I think you got the right guy in place. You want a disciplinarian. You want a hyper-focused, hungry 38-year-old coach doing these things at the time of transition. But man, does he get set back an awful long ways in year one.
Well, you heard it when you talked to him, the first interview he did after all of this happened. And you could tell that there are moments where he sits back and sighs when nobody's around. The office door is closed.
You can hear it in his voice, even though he put on a brave face and he said the right things. And I do believe he's one of these guys. I think this generally works. And so I'm not mocking the mindset. Who knows that it's important to try to find the positive no matter what. That you're presented with a certain set of circumstances that you have no control over, and rather than just wallow in self-pity and frustration and sadness, the question then has to become, yes, this is less than ideal. What am I going to do about it? Mm-hmm. Guys like that just constantly plow forward and get things done, they don't sit around feeling sorry for themselves for too long. They say, what am I going to do about it? And then they look for the answers, and they proceed to move forward. Because otherwise you're in limbo, and things are being done to you. And so we got the right guy. But even if you're of that mindset, Tom, and you were right, I think he does occasionally think and sigh and feel a measure of frustration because he's human. We all do. But, I mean, there are certain things or elements to this that are unavoidable, that you cannot find workarounds for. You're just going to suffer the repercussions because of an absence.
Well, I guess the point that I was going to make is you could hear it in his voice, but he's going to do something. He's going to do something, and he's going to fill his day with productive tasks towards whatever ends he can achieve. He's the right person to have in the situation. He's a crisis manager. You can hear it in his voice. There are certain people, and I won't get into which ones, but there are certain governor press conferences across the country. And you see which ones are actively working on a plan, and you see which ones are letting things develop, and we'll see tomorrow. But that's the same thing with college coaches. You want somebody who you can hear it in their voice. Yes, this is not ideal, and you could hear that there's frustration there, but then they pivot to after the comma. What do? But here's what we can do, and here's what we will do. You need that.
You desperately need that. I think we all do.
He's got it in spades, though.
Yeah, he does. He does. Well, I think that it's pretty obvious how that happened. I think if you go back and read and listen and learn about that man's upbringing, you know that he's had to overcome an awful lot. And I'm not trying to paint a picture that's bleaker than it actually was or not. And there are details I'm sure I don't know. But what we do have a general idea of is that he was the son of a single parent. And football kind of saved his life. Taught him an awful lot, anyhow, about how to be a man and how to take responsibility and how to work. And so this is a moment where that can all be put to the test and utilized for strength. Good. Glad we got it. I just hate that these sets of circumstances befell him and everybody else. And again, I get it. There are much greater things of importance than football, but this is a sports talk show, and we are focusing on Florida State in the upcoming football season if it is to be played. How much damage is done to the program and to the growth of the program and to the process of change that was being implemented by a new coaching staff, a new head coach, and its players' buy-in when you have to go through something like this. And I think Florida State is disproportionately affected because I heard a lot of people early on say, well, what are you going to do? Everybody's in the same boat. Not everybody's in the same boat. We're not in the same boat. But that's okay because what are you going to do? Sit around and, like you said, feel sorry for yourself? You can't. I mean, that's the set of circumstances.
If it was last year's coaching staff and we were in the situation, we're in a different boat than we are right now.
Well, we were screwed
Focus
either
on
way.
the positive.
Yeah. It'd almost be like, well, what's the difference? We weren't going to be doing anything.
How many losses above replacement can you get? You know?
Yeah, we were going to be like, whatever.
4 wins or 5.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you can only lose so many games. There are only so many games on the schedule. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Shall be cleaning all the windows.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men on a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Time to unite, Tallahassee. After years of our great local restaurants serving us, it's our turn to serve them. With this simple purchase of gift cards, we can help them survive the financial toll of COVID-19. Buy them for yourself, your family, or as gifts. No doubt we'll all have a reason to go out and celebrate soon as we safely can. Go to hungertohelp.com and show your support for the heart of our community today. This message brought to you in part by your local Tallahassee radio broadcasters.
Right now, you can get family dinners to go with curbside pickup at Gordo's North Side. That's right, all day, every day after 4 p.m. Please pay with a credit card. Bring your own pen to sign the receipt. And they want to thank you, and so do I, for supporting your local restaurants at a time where they need it most. By the way, I'm looking at these meals. Woo! First of all, give them a call, 850-727-5914. And order of the, Tom, you want to help me out here? Because I don't think you want me doing this. Lechon Asado.
Yeah. Lechon Asado.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Arroz con Polo.
Arroz con pollo.
4 Cubans.
4 Cubans.
Polo a la plancha.
Pollo a la plancha.
There you go. Yeah, that's like beans and rice, right? With some plantains. Boom.
Well, the arroz con pollo is plantains and a chicken salad. Roast pork is the lechon asado.
GordosCubanFood.com. Ta-da!
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
Planning on expanding or renovating your home or business? Did you know that these construction projects start with preliminary work such as professional sets of drawings and proper engineering? Before you apply for financing or sign a lease agreement, allow our team of contractors, architects, and engineers to assist you with planning and budgeting. Hello, I'm Travis, owner of T-Spark Enterprises, and I am here because we want your project to launch on the right foot. Call us today and we will take care of your construction needs. We aim to provide work that will exceed your expectations, guaranteeing picture-perfect results.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CGC 1525336.
Golic and Wingo. Dabo got the response that the establishment gets now. Like, he used to be the mom and pop shop where it was Clemsoning before, and they were the ones rising up to challenge Alabama because, again, what he said is not, like, objectively offensive, right? It's a college football coach, and you heard him say at the beginning, my preference would be. Like, clearly, so he was asked, what would be your preference as far as this? And, of course, he hopes that college football is being played. I think what everyone wants in an ideal world is all optimism to be measured enough to say, listen, we hope and we're planning on doing this as is, but we understand we're adjusting every day. People, I think, want that concession built in. And so when it's not, a lot of people interpret that as you being willfully ignorant, of saying you're not realizing what's at stake in this situation, when this just seems to be that same brand of like unbridled optimism that's sort of been the hallmark of the Dabo Swinney era in Clemson, right?
Golic and Wingo, weekdays at 6 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Is bastardized long ago, but the extra time has allowed for ESPN to do Mel Kiper versus what's-his-face every afternoon.
That'd be Todd McShay.
They do it every afternoon now, and in addition to doing that, they create fake riffs. They've taken it to the next step now where it's like reality television. You know, on reality television, when you watch, you can clearly see that that's just a made-up argument or that's a made-up talking point. They do that now above and beyond the, I really like this guy, I don't, I think he could get drafted in the top 10. Those are normal arguments one might have when assessing talent. I think this team likes him a lot and he's a good fit for this system. I don't. I think they're going to trade up and take this guy. Okay, those are the kinds of conversations you would have while assessing the draft and the players in it. Now it becomes something entirely different where they actually have to feign emotion and respond to each other in ways that are completely manufactured.
But this is a classic play out of the ESPN playbook from even before First Take, First and 10, all Cold Pizza. Remember Salisbury versus John Clayton? They used to do this.
Yeah, you're right.
This is like 10 years ago.
Oh, it was more than that, wasn't it?
But they would always get into a shouting match on SportsCenter, and it would be, you know, the hot seat or whatever, and it would be sponsored. But that's what they're reverting to. This playbook was dusty. They dusted it off, and they said, all right, Mel, Todd, one of you is going to be Salisbury, and one of you is going to be John Clayton.
It is, and it's a shame because when things like that happen organically, they're fun to watch. When you get into, because you're going to disagree about prospects. There's enough inherent to a draft that you really don't have to infuse it with a bunch of manufactured scripts. You can just say, okay, listen, of these 4 linebackers in the first 2 rounds, give us your list of 4 that you think are the best and why, and then let's see if you have a disagreement. Okay, you guys vehemently disagree. You've got him at number 2. You've got him at 4. Why? Okay, here we go.
Here's a fundamental question I have. So McShay usually is cited, especially when you go to the insider page, next to Scouts Inc., right? That's like his company. I don't know, Scouts Inc. Is Scouts Inc. full of employees? Does he have 2 or 3 people at his side that help him with evaluations? Does he have 0? Is it just Todd McShay, and he wants to make himself sound more important by going with this Scouts Inc. moniker?
I don't know.
Because Kuiper is Kuiper. If he has assistants, you wouldn't know about it.
I think they all have to, although I would say over the years, one of the things that seems to be revered by coworkers at ESPN regarding Kuiper is that he is a walking encyclopedia, that he legitimately knows these prospects, where they played, who they are, and that is something of a gift that he has. He can tell you through 4 and 5 and 6 rounds worth of drafts who somebody is, where they're going to go, roughly where they're going to go and why. Like, that's a legitimate skill. He puts the time in.
I believe he lives it. There's no doubt.
Yeah,
I think he's wrong a lot, like a lot.
But I think anybody in that, and I've always thought this, that if you're in that field, you're going to be wrong a lot, man. We all are, because GMs don't even get it right. Guys who are paid millions of dollars to make it right. Coaches that are going to go to the Hall of Fame whiff on draft picks. They did the assessments. They did the interviews. They have insight that we don't have. Not only are they professionals in the field, but they have interviews. They have a combine they attend. They look at the medicals. They get extra film. They get the all-22s from their college. They see things we're not allowed to see, that you and I never see, and they still blow it.
Well, my follow-up to that in general for the business, I think we've asked Charlie this once or twice over the years, Charlie Campbell. What percentage of your take when you put a mock draft out is your opinion of what you see?
Yeah, and which
or the
one
opinion
is the
of
scout?
scouts around the league?
I think you can do a round or two on your own. I think you could probably, because most of those guys are players that we've seen or certainly heard of and have had access to highlight reels and all of that. I think you can do that. But when you're talking about a 6th-round pick, man.
Right, like when Kuiper has his best available and it's pick 140 in the draft, it's like, really?
Really? You sat around and listed all those, did you? And
Now,
these are the ones that are still available. Maybe you do.
He might be crazy enough to do it. And listen, he's got a whole year to work on it. So if you have an entire year, but the problem is when you see him do the early projections in the fall before it's draft time,
they're radically different.
He's done no work whatsoever. Clearly, he doesn't start until about December.
Well, McShay has kind of let you in on the buffoonery that takes place because he loathes some of the aspects of what they ask him to do. You know, you can hear him. He detests certain elements of having to predict or project at times where it's unfair to the analysts, where you're like, well, I mean, we're in the middle of the season. I can't tell you if that's going to change the way I think about a player, because it has to. Like, you could go into a season thinking Todd Hundley or whomever, or not Todd Hundley, Brett Hundley is going to be a good player, but then you watch the season. He's not. Still sucks, just like he did as a sophomore.
He stayed on him, though.
We're going to have to let this go.
What's the worst take, McShay's on Hundley or Jimmy Clausen from Mel Kiper?
Probably Jimmy.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Jimmy Clausen. Holy moly.
And that Gruden was with him on the desk. And Gruden had vetted. Gruden was negative to no one when it
Except
comes
for
to
Clausen.
his final eval on that TV show, Quarterback Camp.
He tried not to be, yes.
With Clausen, he couldn't help himself. He goes, there's just so much garbage here. What am I doing?
Yeah.
You don't belong here, son.
Yeah, it was. He all but said you should quit football. Well, he didn't like his attitude. He didn't like really anything about his makeup, who he was.
I don't believe he's coachable. I believe he's a multi-time felon. I believe he's a bad person. Moreover, he can't throw a football. Why are we drafting him?
Here's something I want to ask you, because certainly it's been kicked around out there. People are still wondering where he's going to end up. If you were the Patriots, would you sign Cam Newton?
If I was the Patriots,
I mean,
I would sign somebody or draft somebody.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't go ahead with what I've got.
The Hoyer free agent signing is not enough. I'd look at Jameis. I'd look at Cam. I think those two guys, I mean, Cam said it yesterday, apparently, to Chris Paul on Instagram Live, I think. Right.
Strange days.
This is the world we live in.
Yeah.
But that, these are unprecedented times. And I like how ESPN bent over backwards to make sure the quote was attributed correctly, and so therefore I'm parroting and doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it ain't rocket science. Yes, we are in unprecedented times where he can't go work out for teams. He could send his own medical, but I'm sure teams want their trainers to look at Cam just like they want their trainers to look at Jameis, because he had multiple procedures in the offseason, one to his throwing thumb and then one to the meniscus.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to look at Jameis Winston if I thought I could get him to cut down on turnovers, because the upside of Jameis Winston is far greater than that of Cam Newton. Cam Newton looks like a shell of himself and has for a little over a year. I mean, he hasn't looked like a elite quarterback in quite some time. I almost looked to me when I was viewing Cam Newton again. I was viewing an injured Cam Newton, not once but twice. Really, the last 2 years have been a debacle. But when I've watched him, he doesn't look like the guy that was the MVP. He doesn't look like the guy that took his team to the Super Bowl, and he doesn't look mentally like he's in it either. Now, that could be the direct result of having been injured, of course.
Yeah, I think that'll change. I think he's hungry. I think that's real.
But I would need to see him, and I would want assurances that he's just fine because Jameis is young, and the arm talent is real. He already threw the ball more accurately and better than Cam Newton. So I listen, if I had the opportunity to bring him in, I think it's the weirdest thing. I mean, we've talked about it, but if he goes to New England and they give him any kind of weapons, the fear is that we see a more in control, more confident, and better coached version of Jameis, go win a Super Bowl, and we're all left thinking what could have been.
Well, he'd be working with McDaniels and Belichick. I don't know what McDaniels is like because he was always overshadowed by Brady. McDaniels left, he came back, Brady won, and Brady won.
Yeah.
So you don't really know what Josh is all about other than as a failure as a head coach out in Denver, thinking that Tim Tebow was his savior.
It was a mistake.
Yes, it was. If I was Jameis, and I know he's trying to maximize his dollars, but a year or two deal in a place like New Orleans wouldn't be the worst thing. I don't know if Sean Payton would be willing. Indications, I think, would be they are willing to look at somebody like Jameis to back up Drew because Drew could go at any minute. His arm could go at any moment, and you've got to plan for the future. Here is a low-risk opportunity like Bridgewater's opportunity, and maybe if his agents were smart and the Chargers aren't actually interested in him, so there's no starting jobs for him to get. What better situation than if Drew needs a couple of weeks off for some reason in the middle of the season? You come, you light it up. You're going to get more money than Teddy got in signing with the Carolina Panthers because you've got more good film out there than Teddy did, and you don't have the risk of your leg falling off.
I think if I were Jameis, I'd sign with the Dolphins.
You'd go compete with Fitz again?
Fitz can't beat him. He's already proven he can't beat him. So I would go down and sign with the Dolphins because Flores is a good coach, and he's got the right culture and belief system. I think the Dolphins are going to be good if they get a quarterback soon. He's a really good coach. Get to stay in Florida. He's comfortable in the state. The franchise is iconic. Miami, if you're rich, is not a bad place to be.
Yeah.
And I think I would. I think I'd sign there. You don't have to contend with Brady in the division anymore. And I think that you could be beloved down there.
It can't work. It's impossible to work. But I'm just going to ask it anyway.
Would you be the backup to Tom Brady?
Is Brady's shadow big enough that it wouldn't matter that Jameis is his backup? Is the Brady storyline big enough that Jameis being on the roster would not matter?
It is a fair question because I've thought it too, but it's not my ego that has to contend with it, right? It's his. It's Jameis's.
He already came out. You see the TMZ quote attributed to him today?
Well, he said it's an honor to have been ousted by Brady.
That's a nice initial move if your plan is, all right, I'll go sit behind him and learn for a couple of years.
He called him the GOAT. He said there's no shame in being ousted by the GOAT. He's not wrong about that, by the way. I believe that Tom Brady was the only guy that you could supplant him with and have those ardent supporters of Jameis and his upside acquiesce to the idea. I mean, I'm one. I'm a big Jameis guy, and his upside in particular is what I was absolutely transfixed by. I thought that him 4 years from now is the best quarterback in the league. Well, Brady was the only guy that I was like, not Bridgewater, not any of these other guys, but Brady?
Yeah.
Okay, I would maybe consider that.
I was Bridgewater for a minute until I looked at the realities of running Bruce's system in year one and all the turnovers that you're going to have because of the spike that everybody has.
Right. No,
with Brady, you're not running Bruce's system in the first year. You're going to run a hybrid.
Yeah, no, so with Brady, I kind of went, okay, I'll stand down if you can get Tom freaking Brady. I guess I better find a tackle that can block for him because Jameis scrambles out of trouble, and he still got hit a ton.
You're going to have to do the things for Tom that you never did for Jameis
That's
magically.
Correct. Yeah, you're going to have to find a way. But I would say, again, if his ego could handle it, I think Tom could. I don't know. That is an interesting case. Anywhere he goes to sign as a backup, if you are not an elite, top-notch, confident starting quarterback, you are instantly in a quarterback battle because fans already love the backup when your backup sucks.
Yeah.
Now imagine your backup threw for over 5,000 yards and 33 touchdowns and has been into a Pro Bowl. That's a problem, man. You are asking for controversy.
But I think Brady and Breeze, those two situations are big enough.
I don't know what Breeze is, man. I think Sean Payton would be looking over at Jameis like, get us a...
Oh, it's an outdoor game. I guess we're going to have to use Jameis. Drew will be our indoor quarterback, and Jameis will be the outdoor quarterback.
Drew, we just checked the weather. It's blowing at about 4 to 6 miles per hour.
Except
we're going to have to bring in Jameis.
There's only one indoor situation we must play Jameis.
Atlanta.
And that's in Atlanta.
Always at Atlanta.
Always in Atlanta.
Light him up for 400. Sure. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men on a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
It's time to unite, Tallahassee. After years of our great local restaurants serving us, it's our turn to serve them. With this simple purchase of gift cards, we can help them survive the financial toll of COVID-19. Buy them for yourself, your family, or as gifts. No doubt we'll all have a reason to go out and celebrate soon as we safely can. Go to hungertohelp.com and show your support for the heart of our community today. This message brought to you in part by your local Tallahassee radio broadcasters.
During this current health crisis, our homes have never been more important. They are the gathering place for our families. They are our schools, our entertainment, and our protection. We know this has taken some getting used to, but we also know we will get through it together. So here's to the home. May it always be a place of comfort for you. A reminder from your friends at Barron-O Heating and Air, following CDC measures to protect your family and ours.
I really need a new refrigerator, and I want to get the best deal. But there are so many options, I don't know which one to choose. I wish there was a way to make this simpler.
With so many choices, a major appliance purchase like this can be overwhelming. The City of Tallahassee helps make the choice simple by offering rebates on Energy Star appliances. You can receive up to $300 in rebates on refrigerators, clothes washers, and more. Are you thinking about purchasing and installing a smart thermostat to help minimize your home energy costs? With the city's rebates, you can get up to $100 off eligible options. Stack your savings this holiday season by coupling in-store deals with rebates from the City of Tallahassee. Visit talgov.com/YOU. That's talgov.com/YOU. Or call 850-891-4968 to learn more. That's 850-891-4968.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Have you ever noticed when you report an accident or a claim to an insurance company, they are very eager to get you to one of their approved body shops. They say that they guarantee the shops work, but what they're really saying is the shop works for them, not the customer. So choose a shop that is working for and looking out for you, someone you trust. It's your choice. Lisa's Paint and Body.
Lisa's Paint and Body, now located at 2820 Mahan Drive. License number MV46050.
Tallahassee, it's Chuck Oliver, the king of college football, and you can join me every weekday at 1 p.m. right here on Tallahassee Sports Monster. We talk nothing but college football every day from Tallahassee to Tuscaloosa, Athens to Auburn, and everywhere in between. That's the Chuck Oliver Show, weekdays at 1 p.m. on our new home in Tallahassee, 97.9 ESPN Radio, Tallahassee Sports Monster.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Mexico Championship and the Players Championship, due to back stiffness, I've been able to return and turn a negative into a positive. I've been able to train a lot. I've got my body to where I think it should be. I've been able to play some golf. Fortunately, Medalist Golf Club is still open here. Virtually every course to the south of us is closed, but we remain open. It's been nice to go out there, hit some golf balls, work on my game. You need to get some fresh air. You've got to go outside and do something. Obviously, we have our social distancing. You can't touch rakes or touch the flags, etc. One-person cart, but at least the members and their kids are able to enjoy a little bit of golf, get out there and do something. I've been able to practice. I've been able to work on my game. I would have been good to go. Damn! But that's good to hear.
November's a little too cold. I don't know that I can do it.
When they do return to form here, it will be interesting to see. He's 44 years old. He played just twice in this year's season, 2020. Finished tied for 9th at the Farmers Insurance Open. And then 68th in that Genesis Invitational where he went south.
If this thing happens, though, in November, it will forever be known simply as the November Masters.
Yeah, well,
who won the November Masters?
November 12th through the 15th. Is when it's scheduled. He would host the Champions Dinner on November the 10th. And, of course, he already posted the social media photograph of he and his family while he was wearing the green jacket. And he said he had exactly the same dinner he would have had they had it there at Augusta. Steak and chicken pieces, sushi, and sashimi.
Along with an appetizer of a Perkins Grand Slam equivalent.
Can't do that around the kids. The PGA Tour has not announced when it hopes to return to weekly events, but the Charles Schwab Cup in late May is still on schedule, although there is considerable talk that the tour will wait until at least mid-June to attempt to return.
Oh, thank God. The Charles Schwab Cup is coming back.
You know, I just said that to Christy the other day. When do you think they're going to play the Charles Schwab? You think that'll go off as usual in May? She did not respond.
I hope that Billy Andrade is around.
Billy's in 5th here in the round 3. Look at that. Good job, Billy. Or J.B. Holmes is well on his way to winning another Charles Schwab.
Well, that's the senior tour, though, the Charles Schwab Cup. That's their FedEx Cup. It's for the senior tour. That's what I'm saying. Oh, thank God. Bernhard Langer can still
dominate those old asses.
Another Charles Schwab. Although Ernie's on that tour now.
Oh, good luck. Yeah,
Enough's enough.
Yeah.
You Aryan.
I don't know, man. I'm telling you, I do marvel. I watch that tour sometimes because there's still some great players there and who perform at a high level. And Bernhard Langer's still swinging it. It's insane.
He is. Yeah.
I mean, he's got shots.
They hate him, though.
They should.
The broadcast hates him. They go, well, because he's on the 18th hole. So I had it on because I was waiting to watch the post-game show, whatever it's called, PGA Tour Live, after the Sunday round. I want to see their thoughts on it. And you got to wait till the end of the damn Charles Schwab event of the week. And it's out in Arizona. And Bernhard's in this group with 2 other guys. And they play in threes. And he was in the lead earlier in the day, but now he's out of it. So he's playing the 18th hole just for money and position and rankings.
Oh, and he's playing it like it's the Masters.
He takes his full lineup time on the green from about 16 feet out, and the broadcast goes, well, he doesn't slack on one putt, guys. I mean, he will make sure. You know, there's some important putts to come, but Bernhard, definitely he will go through his full routine every single time he's on the green, guys.
That said, while it may bother them the way that he guts it out, even in the most desperate of times, they do apparently adore him as a human being. Apparently, he's the sweetest man. Like, you hear Chambly and all them guys, oh, that guy's just a sweetheart of a man.
He was the random guy that started the whole let's go greet Tiger thing last year.
Yeah.
Bernhard was the one who stuck around. He's like, hey, guys, come on, let's go. Brooksy, come on. Ricky, you do that anyway, I know.
Oh, Ricky, you're
I don't
always
need
waiting
to tell you.
You're always waiting to congratulate the winner.
This is my idea, though, not yours, Ricky. If you're a major winner, it becomes your idea.
It's still one of the great moments, though. I can't believe that happened. That guy was dead and buried and won the Masters again. That's crazy. Good work, man. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Those Brooks missed putts on 17 and 18. He had it. He could have won it outright.
Folded. Tiger, Steely. Still there. It's still there.
Well, the funny part was it was 18. It didn't break the way it always has because they resodded and redid 18.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Tiger didn't hole out
Yeah,
his
he
final
would've,
putt.
yeah.
They asked him what you thought about, tapping in. He goes, I was pissed. I missed the putt.
Yeah.
It's broke that way for 50 years.
And he knew it, right. Because he knows every putt on the course.
Every blade of grass.
Every one of them. It's insane. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow.